York in Port St. Lucie, the New York Mets play the St. Louis Cardinals. Spring training on SNY is presented by Citi. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Citi, proud partner of the New York Mets. By Cadillac. Visit your Tri-State Cadillac dealer today to experience the freshest lineup in luxury. By Verizon Fios. Go to getfios.com and switch to the 100% fiber optic network today. And by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers, Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Look who's in the batter's cage. Number 52 getting ready to go. Amongst the Mets, preparing for a season that's still 6 weeks away. Exhibition slate began yesterday. The drills continue. The games continue. Watch out. It may move. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Port St. Lucie. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling with you today for our first spring training broadcast on SNY as the Mets take on the Cardinals. The biggest wild card in Mets camp this spring is Yoenis Cespedes after missing most of the last 2 years because of first heel surgery and then an ankle injury trying to elude a wild boar. Cespedes broke his brief media boycott today and spoke about not the past, he said, where he made an error and paid the price, but about the future and whether he might get in games soon and perhaps be ready for opening day.
Well, we all know what Cespedes can do with the bat, and evidently this spring training he has really been tearing the tar off of the ball. It's all about his health. I think that he made a very wise choice today. It's tough to go it alone. If you don't talk with the media, it is a no-win situation for the athlete. It's tough enough to play this game, cooperating with the media and getting along with everybody. You just make things worse for yourself. The Mets never would have gotten to the 2015 World Series without Yoenis Cespedes, that tremendous second half that he had. And you can imagine a healthy Cespedes in the lineup along with Alonso and Conforto. Boy, what a 1-2-3 punch.
And the incentive is there for Cespedes. He's playing for a contract for next year. One of the question marks also in camp is the back end of the Mets rotation. 6 guys for 5 spots, and Steven Matz, who's one of those guys at the back, will make his bid today.
You know, Gary, I think it's going to be a real battle on the back part of that starting rotation. If you look at his year last year, it wasn't as consistent, of course. He's got to find that on the road. But, boy, he ended up pitching his best baseball. He has a lot of career highs in innings pitched and strikeouts last year. So he's going to be one of the guys trying to fight for that spot. Also, take a look today, Jeurys Familia and his new body. He is in the best shape of his entire life. He's going to pitch today.
And, of course, Familia is a big part of that Mets bullpen as they try to upgrade their performance from a year ago. Beautiful day in Port St. Lucie. Mets and Cardinals, come on back. First pitch is coming up. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Land Rover, above and beyond. By HSS, the official hospital of the New York Mets. By Lexus, experience amazing. And by Cash for Life from the New York Lottery. You can win $1,000 a day for life. As Ronnie just alluded to, here at today's Pitchers, brought to you by Cadillac. Mets at the front, Familia, Gazelman, and Brock all pretty much locked to make this team. And then guys who are battling for jobs, Bachelor, the former Yankee Rumbelow, Kilame, and Nagosic could see action today as well. 74 degrees at game time. Steven Matz getting set to throw the first pitch, and that will be ensuing in 2 shakes. Steven Matz's first pitch of the day is outside for ball 1, and we're underway. Harrison Bader, New York product, leading off against Matz. Bronxville kid against the Long Islander Matz, and Bader drives one to deep left center field. Tebow going back on the warning track at the wall, and it's out of here. Harrison Bader on the second pitch of the game takes Steven Matz deep. Matz, who endured first inning problems on quite a few occasions last year, gives up a home run to the first man he faces in spring training.
Well, he missed with the first fastball and wanted to get the count even, never got there.
Bader 12 home runs last year in less than 350 at bats, and he wins the New York metropolitan area battle.
You know, Bader did not have a good year last year. He lost his center field position when the Cardinals went to the playoffs against the Braves.
Here's a guy who had a great year last year. Colton Wong had his best season in the big leagues, won his first Gold Glove. Hit .285 with 11 home runs, .361 on base last year. And Matz falls behind on Wong, 2-0. Well, those were the numbers last year for Matz. A lot of that came early in the season, and he got better as the year went along, but he had his share of first-inning blowups.
Still, when you have those kind of numbers and you give up a home run to the first batter you face in spring training, you're like, not this again. I mean, come on.
I mean, what was it? 8 of those runs came in the one start against the Phillies. Matt's got a piece of that. Jimenez right near the bag to throw him out, and that's the first out of the day. Cardinals starting lineup brought to you by Toyota. Bader, Wong, DeYoung all figure to be regulars for this team. Matt Wieters the backup to Yadier Molina. Rest of the guys looking for jobs.
Well, Carlson is one of their big prospects.
Here's Paul DeYoung, who has been a Met killer since the day he got to the big leagues, and he takes a strike. How about this for numbers for DeYoung's career against the Mets? 89 at-bats. He's hitting .361 with 10 doubles and 9 home runs in those 89 at-bats.
Well, he had that one terrific series in St. Louis a couple years ago where he just off the charts.
And he hasn't been too shabby since. In fact, his lifetime OPS against the Mets, 1,200. 1,200. Matt's there. He's one in the dirt, and it's 1-2.
So 19 extra base hits out of 89 at bats.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, that's good, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a 30 home run season last year. Didn't hit for as high an average as you might have liked. As good change up by Matt strikes him out for the second out, and they're 2 away.
That's become a much more effective pitch for Steven is that changeup. He's developed the changeup now and seems to have perfected it. When he first started throwing it, Ronnie, remember he kind of tipped it a little bit. I think he's gotten past that, and that comes with confidence with throwing it.
Here's Matt Wieters, the veteran switch hitting catcher, and he fouls off the fastball.
Well, I'm sure that his usage is going to go up. You see the grip that he has on that ball. The key for him is right. What Keith said is that arm speed is the key for Matz. He's got to make it appear to look like a fastball when he throws that change.
Last year he threw his changeup 20% of the time, the most of his career. As Wieters fouls off the curveball, and it's 0-2.
Well, the one tip off that pitchers when they throw a changeup, when they're learning it, is that they slow their arm speed down. That's Western Union to a hitter. And also, you've got to make sure that you throw that changeup out of the same slot as your fastball and your curveball. It can't be off, because those are all things that tip off a hitter.
Now they call it tunneling.
Yes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Throwing every pitch from the same release point, from the same angle, so that there is no tip off. 1-2 coming to Wieters, and the fastball popped up in his shallow right center. Jake Marisnick looking through the sunshine and puts it away to retire the side. Leadoff home run for Bader gives the Cardinals the early lead. Mets come to bat against Adam Wainwright. Geico Mets starting lineup. Ahmed Rosario will DH today. Andres Jimenez in there at short. J.D. Davis, who played left field in Jupiter yesterday, third base today. Matt Adams, Jake Marisnick. Nito gets the start behind the plate. Ryan Cordell, the former White Sox outfielder with some pretty good speed. Tim Tebow bats ninth and plays left field.
Well, Adam Wainwright, first time he ever pitched on this mound was March 10th, 2006. What a great career he's had now at 38 years old. 31 starts last year, 14 wins.
March of 06, you say?
06.
We saw him in October, too.
He's pretty good then, too.
He was. Here's Rosario, went 0 for 3 in the game in Jupiter yesterday. Mets lost twice yesterday, here against the Marlins, and in Jupiter they got shut out 2-0 by the Cardinals. Adam Wainwright, now 38 years old, his 15th season with the Cardinals after he was drafted by the Braves in the first round. They traded him for J.D. Drew. It's turned out to be a pretty good deal for the folks in red. Jerry's Familia getting ready in the Mets bullpen after Matt's worked probably just the one inning today.
It's going to be interesting to see, because Wainwright during the regular season, I mean, no one throws his curveball more. About 36% of the time he's got that good Uncle Charlie, and there's his numbers for his career. His next win as a Cardinal will tie him with Bob Forsch.
162 wins, just 95 losses. He had a wonderful year last year coming back from an injury-plagued season. Carved down to first base, and John Nagowski playing first for the Cardinals makes the play to Wainwright for the first out.
And I'll take a look at the St. Louis Cardinal defense presented by Mercedes. Paul DeYoung at shortstop. Nice glove. Wong won the Gold Glove, his first Gold Glove last year at second base. Harrison Bader in center field. He can go get him. It's just whether he can swing the bat. They kind of caught on to him last year, fed him a lot of breaking stuff, but he is a stalwart out there in center field.
Here's the young shortstop, Andres Jimenez. 1 for 3 yesterday. Started a couple of double plays. And he takes the curveball outside from Wainwright. Jimenez just 21 years old. A rough offensive season in Double-A last year, but a really good Arizona Fall League. He won a batting championship in the fall.
Well, he also had a very nice day yesterday with the glove. Made all the plays at shortstop. Mets turned 2 double plays yesterday.
I was talking with Terry Collins today. He was raving about Jimenez's glove. Just feels as though he's such a not maybe the most physically gifted shortstop, but great instincts in the field, makes plays that other guys don't. And it's his glove that's going to get him to the big leagues first. Chopper for Wong to handle. The Gold Glover throws out Jimenez, and that's the second out. Colton Wong snagged his first Gold Glove last year, which was probably a couple of years later than he might have deserved one. But you know, there's an offensive element to winning Gold Gloves.
I know it doesn't make any sense, right? But it's true. And he had his best offensive year.
So 2 out now. J.D. Davis, who had himself an out of nowhere fabulous season for the Mets last year. 307, 22 home runs, 410 at bats. And right now, if you'd have to guess, will be in left field on opening day.
They are tinkering with him back at third base, I think just as an option. He had a tough time last year at third base, found his home out in left. A very strong arm out, an accurate arm out in left field.
Well, here's the reason why he needs to be able to play third base. Number one, on days when Robinson Cano doesn't play, your best option at second base is Jeff McNeil.
Yeah. Correct.
So you need someone to fill in for McNeil at third. And the other piece, of course, is Cespedes. If Cespedes comes back, the only place he can play is left field. And if you want to shoehorn his bat into the lineup, then you got to figure out another place to play J.D.
Well, what impressed me a lot about J.D. last year, and really he got his first chance to play every day and show what he could do, and he certainly did, is that he's one of the best situational hitters that the Mets have in their lineup. He gets runners over. He hit in the clutch.
Two out and nobody on. 1-2 to Davis. And J.D. takes it down 2-2.
Wainwright's always been one of those guys, Ronnie, that shows the stripes, doesn't he? He hit the high pants. Got the socks working.
I don't think there's anyone who's prouder to be a Cardinal than Wainwright. That wide stance before delivering the ball.
No, the Mets have the former Cardinal Michael Wacha in camp competing for a job in the starting rotation. And, you know, I hadn't been around Wacha that much, but when you walk up to him, he looks so much like Wainwright. And I said to him, isn't it nice that nobody's confusing the two of you anymore?
That's right.
I said, yeah, there's no Waino in this clubhouse. But they're so similar in their look. Curveball away, 3-2.
Sometimes you can't tell on the television, but both Walker and Wainwright are huge people. 6'6", 6'7". There's
There they
Michael.
are side by side.
I'm sure Wainwright was a mentor to Michael Walker.
As Chris Carpenter was to Wainwright. And that just missed outside. Wainwright thought he'd get the call from Hunter Wendelstedt, but Hunter's had a bit of a tight strike zone early in this game, and it's a 2-out walk to Davis.
A bit. Come on, Hunter. Spring training game.
He's making the pitchers work for their supper. There's your umpiring crew, all big league umpires, Barksdale, Rackley, and Rehak, joining Wendelstedt on the 4-man crew. So 2 out and a runner at first, and now Matt Adams Adams went 0 for 3, drove in a run with a sacrifice fly yesterday. And you talk about guys who look like other guys, not so much from in front, but when you look at Matt Adams from behind wearing number 21, couldn't it be Lucas Duda?
Yeah.
Right? He's got the same size and he's wearing the same number as Lucas did for years as a Met.
If you're a big first baseman, you hit left-handed, you get number 21 if you're with the Mets.
I don't know, 17 worked pretty good.
Adams had some big home runs in the postseason in the Cardinals uniform. Remember that one he hit off Clayton Kershaw?
Didn't have a hit in the postseason last year, but he has a ring anyway. Started 71 games for the Nationals last year. Hit 20 home runs in just 310 at-bats. And he pops this one up on the infield. Who's going to get it? And it's Nagowski, the first baseman, to retire the side. A walk and one left after 1-0 Cardinals. Second inning, and Jay Reese Familia will take over the pitching for New York.
Well, the numbers speak 1,000 words, don't they? 5.70 ERA for Familia last year. Going to turn the page.
Well, he's 30 years old now. And like a lot of guys who reach that stage of his career, he had to take himself in hand this past offseason. And he did a remarkable job of slimming down his body. Now we'll see the impact it has on his pitching. Dylan Carlson, the best prospect for the Cardinals, leads off. Carlson just 21 years old, first round pick in 2016 out of high school in Elk Grove, California, where his dad, Jeff, has been a renowned coach for many years. In fact, Jeff Carlson coached J.D. Davis in high school at Elk Grove.
Carlson has gone kind of on the same path that Bryce Harper did, you know, where his dad was an instructor. He went to high school early.
He was playing high school baseball when he was 13 years old.
The varsity.
Yeah.
Well, he split time last year, AA, AAA, had himself really a fantastic year. 26 home runs last season. Stole 18 bases. He played more in AA, where he stole 18, so he can run too. There you go.
Got to work on that grip. Nasty slider from Familia to get even on Carlson. Everybody who's watched Familia's side sessions this spring has been raving about his command, which was such a big issue last year.
And he's got 3 pitches again. He's thrown that split finger to go along with that slider and fastball.
I was talking with Jeremy Hefner, the Mets' new pitching coach, and there's the splitter. He said the problem with Familia's splitter the last couple of years is that his fingers were too close together. So it was just like a slow sinker rather than a real splitter.
From throwing that pitch, you always had to make sure that when you got the grip, it was wide enough on the seams that you get the tumbling action.
Carlson pops one up. Jimenez trying to find it in the sun. Tebow across the line. He's the only guy who saw it, and he makes the catch. Both infielders on the left side never saw that ball come off the bat.
And we'll take a quick look at the Mets defense. Lexus Met defense. So I stand corrected. Marisnick, another start in center field. The pickup from the Astros brings a strong defensive center fielder for the Mets. Matt Adams, a lot of time playing at first base. J.D. Davis, we talked about him getting some play at third base. Well, he's at third base today.
Here's Andrew Kisner, who is DHing today for the Cardinals, a catcher who takes a slider for a strike.
Now that's a loss. I don't know where it is. No. Help.
Fortunately for both of them, it wasn't their ball. It was Tebow's ball all the way, but neither one of them had any idea where it was. Nice pickup, guys. That's that's the way it is in Florida. Yesterday we had a much windier day to go with the sunshine, and it was a true adventure on every ball hit in the air. Saw a ball dropped in center field by the Marlins' Monte Harrison. We saw a ball in right field blow away into a ground rule double. Today, just a little more of a gentle breeze blowing out of the east. Temperature in the low 70s, a little warmer than it was yesterday. Just a perfect spring training afternoon. Kisner pops one up behind second base. And Guillorme takes charge of it. 2 out.
You know, I was thinking about Familia, and I can't wait to talk to Jeremy Hefner about Jay Reese. But to me, Gary, when I watch him with all the analytics and every pitcher's trying to get in front of it and, you know, work the ball up in the zone, down in the zone, around, I think he has to keep things very simple. Just stay with that good sinking fastball, the slider for a strike, and that's disappearing split finger.
So is what you're saying that if he has his movement on his sinker, that he can just basically throw the ball down the middle and let the movement take care of it?
Yeah, that is definitely one part of it. And the other part of it, Gary,
as Jairo Munoz bangs one up the middle for a 2-out hit.
The other part of it, when you are a sinker ball pitcher, and he's got one of the best ones, a lot of times when you elevate the ball, the next time you go to throw that sinker, you don't find the right spot. You got to get that spot where you can throw it over and over for a strike. And sometimes complicating things by moving the ball up in the zone and then trying to go back down in the zone, I think he finds it difficult to do that, keep his command.
So does that mean that he has to completely abandon a four-seam fastball?
No, I think there's definitely going to be spots because he's going to have situations where a guy's going to be on third base and less than 2 outs that he's going to need a strikeout.
There's Austin Dean, the former Miami Marlin, hoping to win a job with the Cardinals.
And of course, being in better shape is going to allow him to repeat those mechanics. He has a real stiff kind of front side, see, almost like a recoil when he lets go of the ball.
Yeah, it's hard for him to repeat.
I mean, if he wasn't as big and strong, it would be almost impossible for him to pitch that way.
Exactly, and to throw that hard.
I mean, it bears noting that even having lost 30 pounds, he's still an enormous man.
That's right.
He's 6'3", 240. He was up to 270 last year at times. Said he cut out the rice and fried chicken, and all of a sudden the pounds began to shed.
I don't know. Every year when I played, I got in better and better shape, and I threw slower and slower. I don't know how that worked out.
Remember Sid?
Well, you were throwing 250 innings a year. It's a little different.
Remember Sid came into camp, he lost all that weight, and he couldn't get anybody out.
2-0 to Austin Dean. And Pineda misses with the sinker. 3-0. Talk about Dean trying to make get a roster spot with these Cardinals. Their outfield jobs up for grabs with St. Louis. They didn't make many moves in the offseason, but the one negative move was that Marcelo Zuna left as a free agent and signed with the Braves. So that created a big hole in the St. Louis outfield. And they've got a number of players who are poised to try and take advantage of that. Strike 3-1.
We saw Dean with the Marlins, right? But they'll have Dean. They have Carlson, who's here today. Tyler O'Neill is another.
Yep. So they got a bunch of young guys. Lane Thomas is also in that mix. They've got opportunities.
That was your National League Manager of the Year right there, Mike Schilt.
Jose.
They were the only team in the National League that had a better record after the All-Star break than the Mets did last year. And that's outside ball 4. Cardinals were below 500 in June. They were 5.5 games out, but then they went 60-39 the rest of the way, 47-27 after the All-Star break to win 91 games and clinch the National League Central. They were on the victim end of the first ever postseason series victory for the Washington Nationals, who then got a couple more.
Yeah, they did all right.
Here's John Nogowski with 2 out and 2 on. Nogowski playing first base and batting ninth. Former 34th round draft pick of the Oakland A's. Nogowski's one of those interesting stories. An older player. He's 27, trying to make it to the big leagues for the first time. And you look at his AAA numbers last year. He had a .413 on base percentage. He had more walks, 69, than strikeouts, 54, which is not something you see very often. Hit 15 home runs, so he's developed a little bit of power, which makes him an intriguing potential backup player. Paul Goldschmidt, of course, holds down first base for the Cardinals.
Except Goldschmidt is aching right now. He's got a little issue with, I think, his arm.
Yeah, the right elbow that's been bothering him. They don't think it's serious by any means. Cardinals have a few issues that they're going to deal with early in the season. One of their best starters, Miles Michaelis, had to have a second PRP shot in his forearm. He's not going to be ready for opening day, so that creates a chance for somebody else to make their rotation. And of course, their best relief pitcher, Jordan Hicks, had Tommy John surgery last June, so they're not going to have him until at least the second half of the year. Nice fastball strike to Nogowski, 2-1. But it was quite a race in that Central Division, and the Cardinals were able to take over first place for good in August and hold off the Brewers the rest of the way.
Brewers lost that wild card game to the Nationals.
Where's Trent Grisham now? That was an awful thing to see happen to a young player. Overrun that ball in right field. J.D. Davis guns down Nogowski, and that retires the side. Familia strands a couple in his inning of work. 1-0 Cardinals. Last chance for no fees. Ticket fees will be waived for Mets tickets now until tomorrow, February 24th. This limited time offer applies to all 2020 regular season home games, including all of the amazing matchups and giveaways. Purchase tickets at Mets.com/no fees. Jake Marisnick leads off and takes ball one from Adam Wainwright. Marisnick 1 for 2 yesterday. Marisnick basically replaces Juan Lagares as that right-hand batting, outstanding defending outfielder. He drives one to deep left. He's got better power than Lagares, heading toward the wall, and it's out of here. Jake Marisnick ties up the game with the Mets' first home run of the spring. And it's 1-1. Marisnick hit 10 home runs last year for the Astros, and he smacks his first of the spring for the Mets.
Keith, it looked like just maybe like a high cutter from Wainwright. Wind's slightly blowing out today, unlike yesterday.
Well, this is a mistake by Wainwright. The right belt high right there, you see, right up at the plate. Marisnick makes him pay.
Now Tomas Nido doing the catching today. And he lines one to right field, and he's got a base hit. Carlson cuts it off, and the Mets with back-to-back hits against Wainwright to start the second.
Well, you can see the ball right down the pipe, belt high, full extension.
They threw a lot of those. You never get those back.
So Nido at first with nobody out. Now Luis Guillorme. Guillorme now 25 years old, at 61 at bats for the Mets last year. Hit .246, made 8 starts, scattered about the season. Competing for a backup infielder job.
I think Keith mentioned last year. I think he made a big improvement.
He did.
Last year.
He started to pull the ball a little more last year. He was basically an inside-out kind of hitter, but he learned to pull a little bit when he was in AAA last year.
Nido runs and mishandled by Wieters, and Nido, who did not have a stolen base all of last year, has one in spring training.
Well, sneak attack here. Not a big lead. I think he would have been out at that. He would have been. I think he would have been out with a throw.
Designed to be a hit and run play. And the Mets have talked this spring about doing more running, being more aggressive, especially during spring training. More to see who can do what, as opposed to setting a tone for what they're going to do all year. But they'd like to take more extra bases, go more first to third, second to home.
Honestly, I did not have Nido stealing early.
Hey, Ramos had a stolen base last year.
He sure did.
Were you at the club when Rick Cerrone was a Met?
Yeah, of course.
And he stole a base in Montreal. And they presented him with the base after the game, and then he had to get it through customs.
That's right. It's the greatest 2 minutes in sports, watching him run between first and second.
It's faster than Cologne. Guillorme smacks one to center. Bader stands his ground and picks it off for the first out. So all three hitters in the inning have hit it hard against Wainwright. Guillorme lines out to center, one away. And now Ryan Cordell. We saw Cordell with the White Sox last year, and what was most impressive about Ryan is the fact that he can really fly. And on a team that has moderate speed, he is certainly an intriguing bench option. There'll be one more bench job this year than there have been in past years with a 26-man roster. With the limit of 13 pitchers amongst those 26 players, that means you have at least 5 bench players at all time. As Wainwright gets that signature curveball over for a strike.
That'll be fun to watch, right? The bench being used a little more than in the past.
Well, it gives you the option at times of carrying a third catcher if need be, or a more one-dimensional player in the National League in recent years because of the proliferation in the number of pitchers that you carry, and often going with 4-man benches. Everybody on that bench had to have some versatility. So if you have a Matt Stairs type, right, to be a big left-handed bat off the bench, or you have a guy who profiles more as like a Terrence Gore type, as a guy who runs more than anything else, you can afford to carry that guy where maybe you couldn't in the past.
Like a Matt Franco type, right, from the day.
Cordell was an 11th round pick by the Texas Rangers out of Liberty University. I think the only Liberty product that's ever played for the Mets was Lee Guterman. Remember him, the big left-hander?
Yeah.
Pitched for the Mets back in '92. Cordell's been dealt a couple of times from Texas to Milwaukee for Jonathan Lucroy, then from Milwaukee to the White Sox for Anthony Swarzak, who later became a Met. 3-2 to Cordell. Angel Rondon is up in the bullpen for the Cardinals. Wainwright might be reaching the end of the line now at 32 pitches. Tim Tebow, batting 9th in the order, is on deck. Nito at second and 1 out. And the curveball in there, strike 3 call. Cordell caught looking for the second out. For a strikeout for Wainwright. Well, these are the rule changes that have been instituted by Major League Baseball. No more 40-man rosters in September. 28 will be the limit in September. 26 for the rest of the year. The 3-batter minimum we talked about yesterday. 3 batters unless you're able to end an inning. Not only the injured list, but also the option length for pitchers goes from 10 days to 15 days, which will prevent as much roster manipulation as there's been in the past. Tebow fouls one at the plate. Tebow 0 for 1 yesterday. Tim's now 32 years old. You see his numbers from AAA last year. I don't know how much longer the Tebow experiment is going to last, both in his mind and in the mind of the organization. But you'd have to think that this is the year where he's either got to make it or break it. They've moved him up a level each year in deference to his age. He's still a remarkably popular figure wherever we go.
Especially here in Florida. One of the most storied football collegiate career that anyone's ever had.
And he had an offer this year to go play in the XFL, but he's committed enough to this baseball project that he decided to turn them down. But it's amazing when the Mets take batting practice before these spring training games, how players on other teams gravitate to Tebow. And Wainwright falls behind a 3-1, and Wainwright looks like he's out of gas.
Yeah, it's amazing. Of all the pitchers who pitched for both sides today, the oldest guy is probably going to throw the most pitches.
Tebow batting with Nito at second and 2 out. And he can't hold the swing on the cutter, and it's 3-2.
And ball up in the eyes. Very tempting to most hitters.
Can't hit it. Can't lay on. 3-2 coming. And the curveball is low, ball 4. And Tebow's on with a walk. Second walk given up by Wainwright. And that's going to be the end of the line for him. Mike Schultz will come out and get him after 39 pitches for Wainwright in his first spring training outing. So the Cardinals will make a pitching change. 1-1 in the second. We'll be right back. This is a beach shot that we dug out of our archives from 1974. The palm trees look the same.
I didn't know the Speedo was such a big hit here in Port St. Lucie.
Of course, there's no beach in Port St. Lucie, right?
That's right. That's right.
Angel Rondon, 22-year-old right-hander, comes on to pitch for the Cardinals after Adam Wainwright went an inning and 2/3. Ahmed Rosario will greet him and takes a curveball for a strike.
He's got a big arm, can throw 95 plus. Good breaking ball there to start the at-bat off for Rondon.
Wainwright gave up a couple of hits, walked 2 over an inning and 2/3, struck out 1, gave up a home run to Marisnik. Rosario grounded out his first time up. Ahmed is DHing today, but his second half last year was really something to behold. Really turned the corner as a big league player.
He had it really was his first full season, and the second half of 2 years ago, Gary, remember when he turned it around. He started running out balls to first base, and it just upped his game, and he just improved on it last year.
To Hopper to DeYoung. He throws out Rosario, and that'll do it for the Mets in the second. The Marisnik home run ties up the game. 1-1 as we head to the third. Scenes of the spring.
Oh, nothing like a little
Marcus Stroman now wearing number 0.
Nice.
Nothing better with a little acoustic guitar with those spring training sites.
Anything that pleases your aesthetic tastes, I'm all for it, Keith.
I was up when we did the Shirley Bassey years. I like that year.
Jersey native Brad Brock back for another go-round, re-signed with the Mets. Mets picked him up last summer after the Cubs released him and pitched much better as a Met than he did as a Cub.
He did 14 2/3 innings with the Mets last year.
Started throwing a cutter, which worked for him, along with his changeup and fastball. Facing Harrison Bader, who homered to lead off the game against Steven Matz. And Bader gets a hold of this one, but this will stay in the park for Tebow. And he can't make the catch as he smacks into the wall, and Bader will wind up at second base. That ball took off a little bit right at the end, and Tebow couldn't quite reel it in. And he smacked that wall pretty hard.
Well, a windy day. It's a hanging breaking ball from Brock here. I didn't think the ball was going to get that far out. But it's not like he was afraid of the wall there. He crashes into that wall. Terrific effort right there. Just off the glove.
Been hit by some pretty good linebackers this time.
Any mere mortal would have been injured on that play.
They'll score that a double for Bader, so he's got a couple of extra base hits today. And now Colton Wong pops one up on the left side. Jimenez looking through the sunglasses, and that's the first out.
Just hits the pinky finger of the glove. That's probably the weakest part of the glove as far as when a ball makes contact there.
He was able to get his hands out a little bit, but otherwise the way he hit that wall was the way Mike Baxter hit the wall.
I was just thinking the same. We've been working too long together.
But, you know, Tim's got a little more meat on his bones than Mike did. Here's Paul DeYoung, who struck out his first time up, and he drills one foul. DeYoung, who spent his offseason enhancing his patronage of the Palm Beach Symphony.
Right.
I mean, there aren't too many big league players that I know of who spend their offseason pursuing their love of classical music.
I mean, he is a Renaissance man. He really is. What did he major in college? Like molecular biochemistry or something like that?
Sounds about right. Illinois State Redbirds.
Smartest player in the major league since Craig Breslow.
Well, I don't know. We saw Ryan LaVarnway yesterday.
That's right.
DeYoung's kind of a phenomenon, though. I mean, he has become in very short order one of the most valuable players in the big leagues. Terrific shortstop, #3 hitter for a winning team.
Played in 158 games last year, and they felt that he got a little bit tired towards the end of the season, so they're going to back him off. They're not going to run him out there every day like they did last year. They're going to give him some. They're going to rest him a little more, keep him strong.
They've got Jaron Munoz, who's playing third base today, who's their backup shortstop, so he might be in line to play a little more. But it's hard to take this bat out of the lineup.
Especially with not re-signing Ozuna. You know, their offense is going to be a little challenged.
And it wasn't great last year. I mean, their pitching and their defense carried them last year. Cardinals finished 10th in the league in runs scored, 12th in home runs. And DeYoung strikes out for the second time as Brock gets him for the second out. I was looking at some of the numbers from last year about the Cardinals and their pitching compared to the Mets and their pitching. The Met pitchers gave up the second fewest walks and had the third most strikeouts.
I know what you're doing. You're being silly.
But they gave up the 5th most hits. And to me, that's all about defense, right? Whereas the Cardinal pitchers had the second best ERA in the league, second fewest home runs allowed, and third fewest hits allowed. So it you know, you think about, and that one hits Matt Wieters and he's aboard. You think about hits allowed as being on the pitcher, but often that's on the defense.
Sure.
And the Mets easily had the worst defense in the National League last year.
Especially when you have a starting staff that, for the most part, you get a lot of soft contact off, right? Well, at least the top of the rotation.
I mean, if you have the second most strikeouts, you would figure that your hit totals would be commensurately low, but it was just the opposite.
Well, the Mets made 99 errors last year.
Right, but when I think about their lack of defense, I think more about lack of range.
Yes, but you compound it with errors too, and just keep that pitcher out there. That's way too many errors in the course of a season.
So then the question is, as Robert Gsellman gets up, do the Mets improve defensively this year? In what position might they hope to improve defensively? I mean, Alonso maybe makes incremental improvements at first base. Cano may be a little healthier than last year. Rosario continues to get better at short. I mean, those are the things that you ask for because you haven't really had any substantial player changes.
And you got McNeil moving over to third base. You know, McNeil played a good third base last year. He predominantly was in the outfield, and he really played a good outfield.
He was their best defensive player wherever they put him last year, second, third, or the outfield.
I'm not the least bit worried about the left side of the infield. The right side of the infield with Cano at his age, he's lost a little bit of range. Pete's a big burly guy, doesn't have a lot. Good sure hands when he can with the ball he can get to, but the right side of the infield, it's got some areas you can take advantage of.
And then the question is, you know, does Nimmo play the majority of the center field? I mean, he's not the defender that Marisnik would be if he played more in center field.
And we started the broadcast with Cespedes feeling he's going to be ready for opening day, but what kind of defensive player is he going to be?
Well, we know he can throw.
Yeah.
I mean, just watching him throw in drills, I mean, that arm is still amazing.
Remember, though, when he was putting up big numbers, occasionally he'd be going through some hip issues or some leg issues, and it would really limit his range in the outfield. It's going to be interesting to see him play. Probably won't play in a game as a fielder until what, maybe the mid-March?
Well, that's what he's hoping for. I don't even know if that's overly optimistic. He has not yet run full out. He's blocked with a good changeup, strikes out Carlson to retire the side. A double and 2 men left. Still a 1-1 game in the third. You get them started when they're young. Have them say, not mama, not daddy, Metzi, Metzi, Metzi.
There they are with their placards out in right field. Then you look around and they're over third base.
Metzi, Metzi, Metzi. Well, we're a little crazy, but then so is Carlos Martinez. He's coming on to pitch for the Cardinals.
He's crazy good, though. The one thing about Martinez, they're not sure what they're going to do with him. Gary was mentioning before that Jordan Hicks, who's their very talented reliever, won't be back maybe till the end of the season. They might need Martinez to still close. He would prefer to start.
Well, last year, after Hicks got hurt, Martinez took over as the closer, saved 21 games after the All-Star break. He was marvelous out of the bullpen. Of course, that's how he started his career, was as a relief pitcher. Andres Jimenez leads off for New York. Well, the way the Cardinals rotation fleshes out, they've got Jack Flaherty, who had a wonderful season last year as their opening day starter. Jimenez drives one out to right center, and over comes Carlson in the gap to run it down for the first down. Well, sounded good off the bat, didn't go very far.
It did.
One out. So after Flaherty, you've got Dakota Hudson, who had kind of an up and down rookie year.
Won 16 games, but higher ERA.
And now without Michaelis, that makes Wainwright the number 3 guy. They signed Kwang Hyun Kim, a left-hander from Korea, who pitched yesterday, who they like a lot. And then after that, it's kind of a crapshoot, and Martinez might slot in as that 5th starter. So I guess it depends on where they need him the most.
I mean, he has that versatility.
I mean, if he's not the closer, does that make Andrew Miller the closer?
I think so. But Andrew's at a point in his career where he can't always go 2, 3, 4 days in a row.
And he's always been better as that Seth Lugo type, 7th and 8th inning guy than he has been as a 9th inning guy. Ball from Martinez for a strike, 1-1. After that, you've got guys like Ryan Helsley and John Brebbia. They have not had big league closing experience. There's Lugo, who, despite all of his wishes, will probably be in the same role this year that he was last year. And he was so good at it, one of the most valuable relief pitchers in all of baseball last year.
Did he break his toe in spring?
Yeah, but he went back on the mound yesterday.
Okay.
He
stubbed it, right?
Kicked an ottoman in his hotel room, and he fractured the pinky toe on his foot. That one squibs by Nagowski, and that'll get J.D. Davis aboard. Tough hop for Nagowski. And they'll score a base hit for J.D.
That was one of those, Keith. If you don't come and get it right away, you got to. It almost plays you.
It's one of those top spin ground balls. You got 2 choices. You come after it quick, get a short hop, or you go back and get the long hop. You do not want an in-between hop on those top spinners.
So now Matt Adams, who popped up his first time up. Martinez misses with a changeup, ball 1. Thought for a moment they were going to go with 4 infielders on the right side. Not quite. I think the only guy I've seen where they shift 4 guys to the right side is Joey Gallo. I think it's the only big leaguer so far that I've seen where they don't put anybody on the left side.
I think Joey Gallo, they've played 4 guys in the outfield against him at times.
Yep. Gallo is such a unique player, but he's hit down in the order for most of his career. Now they're talking about moving him to the top of the order.
You know, until he got hurt, he had a great start.
We've got about 70 feet of space there between
Look at that.
the defender and the line.
Give me a bat.
Through the Lexus Mets defense.
I don't think they play you like this, Keith.
There's a little-
I just have a suspicion.
Couple Caspers out there.
22 to Adams. Mike Schilt, National League Manager of the Year last year with that tremendous second half run. So that is 2 years in a row now that baseball lifers
That's right.
have won National League Manager of the Year. Brian Snitker in 2018 and then Mike Schilt last year. And when you think about the experience that Luis Rojas has had as a minor league manager, as a winter ball manager, getting him ready for his debut as a big league manager now, it more closely resembles the preparation that Snitker and Schilt had than a guy like, say, Craig Counsell or A.J. Hinch or guys like that who did not. And Adams gets it through the vacated space, and he's got a base hit. Well, they're going to give you 70 feet of line. Why not? And the Mets have 2 men on.
They give you all, look at that, all that left side. I know everybody wants a quick fix, a home run, 2-run home run. We'll get them go the opposite field, but you know what? That's how rallies are started.
Adams will come out. Jeremy Vasquez will run for him at first base. We mentioned yesterday they are doing something different with the minor leaguers they bring over this year. Rather than have them wear numbers in their 80s and 90s with no names on their back, they're having them wear their minor league uniforms, which look the same as the major league uniforms, which means you have duplicate numbers. So you got number 20 out there running at first base. You think, oh, it's Pete Alonso. No, it's not Pete Alonso. It's Jeremy Vasquez. So it's a little confusing. Jake Marisnick at the plate, homered his first time up, and takes a strike from Martinez, 1-1. Means we have to be a little more on our toes.
That's right. Vasquez is going to have to watch. He's taking a big secondary lead in spring training. A lot of times teams work on their pickoff plays this time of the year.
Slowly hit. Munoz to second for 1, and Wong will not attempt to turn 2 against the speed of Marisnick, and that's the second out.
Munoz has turned himself into a very useful and valuable player. I think what he was with the Oakland A's when he came over to the Cardinals.
Traded for Stephen Piscotty a couple of winters ago. So now Tomas Nido with first and third and 2 out. Nido had a base hit into right center and stole a base his first time up. He stole a base. Fouled at the plate, and it's 0-1. Follow SNY on SNY.TV, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for a continuous stream of all the latest developments from spring training with behind-the-scenes video and live updates straight from Port St. Lucie. Marisnick stole 10 bases last year with the Astros. Healthy lead. He's going. And Nido carves one off the first base side, and Nogowski can't quite get to that one. Himself a rough inning. Tough play. Came awfully close to snaring the one that JD hit, and this one just beyond his reach.
Yeah, tough play here. Not very much elevation on that pop-up.
Have we seen what color Carlos Martinez's hair is today? We've seen him with blue hair in the past.
That's right.
Can't tell with the cap on.
Got a nice quick snap move over there, Martinez.
I mean, all visible hair is of a, you know, a normal brown shade. Who knows what lies beneath? And Nito foul tips one for strike 3. And Martinez able to get out of third inning trouble. That takes us to the 4th. Robert Gsellman coming in a 1-1 game. Some of the folks here in Port St. Lucie today catching Mets baseball.
Much nicer day to watch a ball game than yesterday. A lot warmer.
Wind has died down. Temperature up a few degrees. We'll take a look at the Mets' upcoming schedule presented by WB Mason. Our next telecast Wednesday when the Asteriscos come to town.
That's funny.
It's going to be interesting to see what the reaction will be here. Last night the Astros played their first home game down in West Palm Beach against their fellow tenants there, the Nationals, who beat them in the World Series last year, and they only played a couple of innings before it got rained out, but it was long enough that it was immediately apparent how the Astros are going to be greeted around baseball this year. There were fewer Astros fans than Nationals fans, even though it was an Astros home game. The crowd booed everybody, even though nobody in the lineup was anybody who was a member of the Astros in 2017 when the cheating happened at its greatest. And I have to say this, but throughout this scandal, the Astros media relations, public relations has been disastrous, right? Going all the way back to last year with other incidents that happened, but particularly this spring. And again last night. You know that fans are going to bring signs and wear shirts and they're going to give it to them. And Dusty Baker has said it. Hey, we're going to have to wear this. And he understands that. But they confiscated the signs that the fans brought last night. I mean, did they really want the headlines today that the Astros stole signs from the fans? I mean, come on. You got to be smarter than that. Just let the fans boo. Let them bring their signs, wear it, and get through it.
And be excellent on the field. That's the only way you can recover. Is you have to just be excellent on the field.
Dusty last night after the game quoted the great Japanese slugger Sadahiro Oh. He said, "Coolness of mind controls a burning desire in your heart." And what he meant by that is that you not get angry as Jimenez boots the ground ball, and that'll enable Kisner to beat it out. And the Cardinals have a leadoff base runner against Gsellman. You know, you might feel badly about the way that you're being treated, whether you deserve it or not, but you have to be cool enough in your mind to allow yourself to function.
Well, the Astros have to know that this is going to be, they're just going to get it all year long. And I just think that everybody underestimated the reaction from the fans, but mostly from the players. I mean, this is just not going to go away real quick. And, you know, it's a big blemish. I mean, what makes it interesting to me, Gary, and I mean, I read an article in the New Yorker where Bobby Valentine was interviewed, and he talked about Ralph Branca and the shot heard around the world, Bobby Thompson's home run.
Nice cutoff by Davis. They get the out at second. The turn by Guillorme gets away. And safe at first is Munoz. But J.D. Davis with a nifty pickup to get the force at second.
Nice play by going to his left there, an in-between hop. Not an easy chance here. And gets rid of the ball quickly. Remember, when he played third base a little bit last year, he would, on those double play balls, he kind of threw lollipops to second base. This one he got rid of quick, trying to turn the 2.
I think that throw hit Jairo Munoz on the hand as he came by at first base, and he's holding that hand over at first. But I think he's okay. Anyway, you were talking about that article.
The article ended when Bobby was talking to, Ralph Branca was Bobby's father-in-law. And Ralph, I knew Ralph Branca, and Ralph always took that home run hard. And then when it came out that Thompson more than likely had the pitch, Bobby more or less said he told Ralph, don't be angry at the New York Giants for stealing the signs. Be angry at your Brooklyn Dodgers for not doing the due diligence where you're not having your signs stolen. I thought that was pretty astute, and it's incumbent now on opposing teams, third base coaches, catchers behind the plate. They're going to have to be get up to speed and change signs. I mean, we did it with the Cubs in '84, Ron.
But we found out, like most teams, too late.
It was interesting to me, Keith, when this all came out in January, one of your first comments to me was, that one catches Nito, who was trying to get in position to throw, and it got him right in the collarbone.
Oof. Ouch.
Your comment to me was that if they're banging a trash can and the hitter can hear it, then the catcher for the other team should be able to hear it just as well.
If I'm hearing, the catcher's got to hear it, the hitter's going to hear it. And it's just, all it takes is, hey guys, where's the catcher? You know what? We're going to give you the benefit of the doubt, but if this continues, someone's going to get hurt. And I suggest you go in that dugout and you tell your teammates that they're cruising for a bruising. And all you got to do is put down 2 whenever sequence and throw number 1. And you don't have to hit someone. You can put them on their back, and that would cancel it out right there, because right away the hitter in his mind is saying, I can't trust this.
Yeah. At the same time, though, none of that exonerates.
No,
the Astros
exactly.
Because they clearly crossed the line. I mean, sign stealing has been a part of the game forever.
Yes.
But to have a real-time access to a camera and then to be able to directly give a sign, that's completely beyond the pale from what had ever been done before.
I'm of the feeling that the players come to the ballpark today at 12 noon for a 7 o'clock game. You couldn't get me there at 12 noon, trust me. And they do all this due diligence, all their work, and that's perfectly fine. But you know what? When the game starts, no more electronics. Take it out, all that information, take it out in the field with you.
Well, of course, the door was open to all of this possibility, the possibility of this happening, when they added the video rooms, when they instituted replay in 2014. And incrementally since then, teams have been using that illicitly, and then they warn not to. But it's almost as though there's been a creeping greater incidence of using in-game video. Trying to get back to first now is Munoz, and the throw in time to double him off. Ryan Cordell catching and throwing in one motion and doubling off Munoz, and that ends the inning. Nicely done by Cordell. Munoz in motion on the pitch, and Cordell throws a strike to double him off. Keeps it a 1-1 game in the 4th. Newly renamed Clover Parks had a $57 million worth of renovations. And let me tell you, it is just gorgeous down in that clubhouse. They did some remarkable work, opened up the whole front of the stadium now, that front staircase leading folks into wider concourses.
Yes, very aesthetic, very beautiful.
Luis Guillorme leads off in the home 4th, dragging a bunt. Carlos Martinez can't get to it, and Guillorme is going to beat it out. That's the way they draw it up. Get that drag bunt past the pitcher. Guillorme did it, and he's aboard to start the bottom of the 4th.
And the only thing that's unusual about this bunt is normally you do that on the push it down the right side when a left-hander's out there. But that is just perfect.
Who says bunting's not exciting? I mean, that's a beautiful play.
Anything that involves base running,
action,
fielding, those are the beauties of the game. Here's Ryan Cordell. See what the Mets do here with him, with Guillorme at first. Cordell takes a strike. He was caught looking his first time up. Just to continue our conversation from the last inning, I was starting to make the point that once you put those replay rooms in every area close enough to the dugout that it was possible for the players to go in there, you were kind of begging for this kind of thing to happen. And incrementally over the last few years, teams obviously stretched the limit as Cordell bangs one off his leg. 0-2. But my question is, how is it that the Astros in particular made the leap from using video to try and figure out signs in a legal way to doing it in this blatantly illegal way?
Well, I think it was a perfect storm. You had two members of one a coach and one a player that were very adept at stealing signs. You had a culture of a front office that was trying to get their employees to push the envelope. How far can we go? What can we get? What algorithms can we come up with to figure out all of this stuff? And they clashed in this moment, and who knows how long the moment lasted. And that's how it happened. I'm surprised, honestly, that baseball hasn't unplugged already. I think that monitors shouldn't be anywhere near the dugout.
I agree.
I think managers in real time, with their eyeballs and the help of their coaches, have to decide to see a replay or not. That's part of managing, is making those decisions.
I completely agree with that.
And I just feel that, also, too, with the instant replay, I think it's hurt the umpires. You've got umpires now that make calls, keep the ball in play, call a home run. They know they're going to videotape. It creates a laziness instead of being decisive with your calls.
But as far as the accessibility of electronics for the players in terms of scouting pitchers, scouting hitters, a lot of them have become very dependent on those things, and I think that's been a source of great discussion as Major League Baseball contemplates just how far they're going to dial back the availability in game.
Yeah, I have no problem with, I mean, aesthetically I don't like it, but I have no problem with the iPads they have on the bench, preloaded with stuff that's going to help you know a pitcher.
I still have a problem with that.
Once you put the iPad in the dugout, how do you know? As Cornell drills one into left field, that's a base hit. Guillorme going first to third. Run down to the corner by Dean. They're going to wave Guillorme home, and he will score without a throw. Ryan Cordell with an RBI double, and the Mets go in front 2-1.
Old hanging breaking ball right there. Nice. He kept his shoulder in, drives that ball down the line. And Guillorme, who is really come in really good shape. Last year he lost a lot of weight. Showing good wheels here.
He looks like he's picked up a step.
Yeah. That was good base running.
So the Mets in front 2-1. And now here's Tim Tebow with the runner at second and nobody out.
Yeah, so I guess I should take that bet. You don't know what they're preloading. What's going to be in there,
I would be in favor of not having any electronics available to any player once the game starts. And that's it.
Any coaching staff. Once the game's on, play the game.
That's right.
Like,
I mean,
use your
there's
eyeballs.
no reason why you shouldn't be able to. And Keith makes a good point. If you're in the ballpark as early as these guys are, you've got 7 hours before the game to look at whatever you need to look at. The starting pitchers, the relief pitchers, whoever you might face in the course of the game. I think, and maybe it's a less than modern view, but there's no reason why anybody who's involved in the game should have to look at any electronics from the first pitch to the last out.
But you said it, a lot of the players today are reliant on it. What it is I know what you're saying. The game is the test. You can do all your homework you want before the game, but the game is the test. No answers.
The question that I have is, in terms of the the vocal nature and the widespread vitriol that the players themselves on other teams have delivered in a way that we've never seen baseball players respond before. And I'm wondering, does that have more to do with the act itself? Does it have to do with the Astros response, which has been at times completely insincere and less than completely apologetic? Does it have to do with the commissioner's response, which some saw as being less than as draconian as it should have been? Do you think that the players who are responding more to the act or more to the response?
Well, I think that it's a lot of all of that stuff. But, you know, I think that the player feels, well, how I would feel, I'll just say how I would feel, is that all these players cheated. But because of immunity, no one has to pay the price. You know, certainly Cora's paid the price, Beltran's paid the price, and Hinch and Lunau have paid the price. But I think there's a part of fans and players that when are they going to pay the price? And I feel like their comments, they don't feel like they should pay a price, and that's why guys are angry.
Well, I'll go back to the immunity part in a moment.
Okay.
Do you think that if when Alex Bregman and Jose Altuve and Jim Crane went in front of that press conference, if they had said, we cheated, it was a horrible thing to do, and fall on their swords, do you think that that would have muted the reaction of the other players?
I think that they would have owned up to it. They still would. People would still be very upset, both fans and the players, but it's the right thing to do. They basically admitted they knew it was the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, but Crane said he didn't think it made a difference.
Crane, I don't know what he was thinking in that. I'll be honest with you.
The reaction as a ball forward to Tebow, I mean, Altuve and Bregman were just robotic. They did not sound as though they meant anything they said.
Where was Correa? Why wasn't Correa up there? They're the big three. I mean, and also too, Garrett.
And Correa,
you have got
Correa in his later pronouncements starts going after other people and denying things that we already know happened. I mean, that was not helpful either.
You've got Altuve, who's got MVP and a batting champion. Is that tainted? Is that tainted? It certainly is. Aaron Judge certainly has a gripe. I would be upset if I finished second in the MVP balloting. I'd be very upset.
The Dodgers as a ball club.
I mean, you got Marmon Gonzalez, who got a big contract, had his best year, and then goes over to Minnesota and hasn't had those kind of seasons. You know, it's going to be interesting to watch. I've never seen Altuve look so bad in the World Series. I mean, the Nationals ate him up.
There's just so many tentacles to this deal.
I want to go back to the reaction for a moment because, the Mets have two players on their roster who were part of those 2017 Astros, J.D. Davis and Jake Marisnick. And I thought Marisnick, when he was asked to address this when he first arrived in spring training this year, was as genuinely contrite as anybody I've heard. I mean, he was emotionally spent. Said, I should have done something about it. He said, JD, he was a young player. He couldn't. But there was no reason that I could not have made it stop. And I thought that was as honest and contrite as anything I've heard. They get the force at second on Tebow for the first out of the inning. And the Mets have runners at the corners with one out. Then there's you brought up immunity, and the commissioner has gotten bashed, and I'm not here to defend him, but let me say two things about Rob Manfred. One is that it's quite clear that if he had not given immunity to the players, the story never would have come out.
That's right.
So you can't really have it both ways. Either you want to know what happened or you want the players to be punished. But if you don't know what happened, the players couldn't be punished anyway.
Right.
So there's that. And the other thing is, and this relates to the entirety of baseball, not just this incident. You have to remember when the commissioner speaks, the commissioner his title is commissioner of baseball, but he's commissioner of the owners.
Right.
He's hired by the owners. He can be fired by the owners. It's very hard for a commissioner to come down hard on an owner. So there's that. And also and he's apologized for what he said about the championship trophy, calling it a piece of metal. But you have to remember the way owners think. They want to win, of course, but they're also in it for the profit. The people who consume this product, the fans and the people who participate in it, the players, the thing that's most important to them is that championship trophy. So I give the commissioner a little bit of a pass in that, but I also understand the vitriol that's being sent his way.
I mean, baseball has a long history. This is one of the biggest scandals that it's ever rocked the game.
Well, just
no getting past that.
Just the fact that the commissioner drew the parallel to the 1919 Black Sox scandal. I mean, really, from a team standpoint, there's nothing else that's happened in baseball that compares to those two events. As ball 4 to Jimenez and the Mets have the bases loaded. We will see the Astros here on Wednesday, and the Mets will be going to Houston for a series, their first road trip of the year in April.
Do you want to do those games, Kate?
You got them.
We'll have a good time. We really will.
You want to switch?
People won't throw stuff at us at all. Right-hander Ramon Santos comes in to try and finish off this bottom of the fourth.
A-ball pitcher last year.
25-year-old from the Dominican Republic comes in to face J.D. Davis, who swings and foul tips one for strike one. J.D.'s already been on base twice in this game with a walk and an infield single. Mets have the bases loaded. Cordell at third, Rosario at second, and Jimenez at first with one out. A run home here in the fourth. Mets have taken a 2-1 lead. And J.D. pounds that one into the ground. It's 0-2. Carlos Martinez worked an inning and a third and was never out of trouble. He gave up 4 hits and 2 walks. 1 run so far, but responsible for the 3 on base. No blue hair. Maybe that was the problem.
He'll get it going for the season.
Go blue. Tyler Bachelor, next man up in the Mets bullpen after Robert Gazelman worked the top of the fourth effectively. Ramon Santos, the 4th Cardinal pitcher of the day. J.D. hits one down the right field line. In the sun and the wind. Nice play by Schrock, the second baseman, throwing home and sliding in safely is Cordell with the second run of the inning. A sacrifice fly to the second baseman. Cordell with excellent speed able to beat Schrock's throw home, and it's 3-1 New York.
Well, he's in. The ball's in fair territory. Tough chance right there. Good base running on third base by Cordell, tagging up.
Those are the little things that speed give you. Ability to tag up on a ball, sacrifice fly to the second baseman.
Well, we talked about the possibility of Cordell finding a place on the Mets bench, and it's that kind of play that gives him the possibility. There's Jeremy Vasquez batting for the first time, and he takes outside ball 1. Vasquez took over at first base for Matt Adams, who went 1 for 2 today. Two on and 2 out. And Santos misses inside, 2-0. So there's one more thing I wanted to ask you guys in relation to the Astros thing. Some people have called for the Astros to have their 2017 World Championship taken away. Is that the proper penalty, do you think?
I don't believe it should be taken away, because if you're a baseball fan and you think about the championship years in this last decade, you'll go through the Giants, of course, won And every single time you think, oh, who won the 7th? Oh, Astros. They cheated. That's how you're always going to think about it. They're going to be out there because of that.
That would be a severe penalty, would it not? And it would mean every owner pridefully displays the World Championship trophy in their lobby, wherever in their stadium. If you took that trophy away, I'm not so much against that myself.
Okay.
I mean, the Dodgers have said we don't want it.
Yeah.
And they're right. Just like you wouldn't want to have a, I don't know, a scoring change for a no-hitter and get that retroactively.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing. You want to earn it on the field, and they've said as much.
I think Justin Turner said, we want the big hits. We want the parade. We want the whole deal.
Yeah. It's hard to do that in retrospect.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting how the World Series turned out is we all know that the Nationals did their due diligence, and they had, what, 5 separate signs for the pitchers in the course of the World Series.
In 2019.
Yes, and in 2019, and they won every game on the road in Houston.
All 7 games
Yes,
won by the road team.
I mean, Mike Rizzo was quoted as saying that before the World Series, they got plenty of calls from other teams.
Well,
watch
that's
what you do.
That's the thing, is that before any of this came out for the last couple of years, there had been so much conversation around the game, not just about the Astros,
right.
but more about the Astros than anybody else in terms of being careful, watching what you're doing. They might be stealing signs in some kind of nefarious way. Runners get set to go, and Vasquez fouls off another one.
But some clubs have to watch out because they might have docked protest too much.
Well, and we're going to find out what kind of penalties the Red Sox are going to get for whatever they did, although the reports are that they're not going to be punished nearly as severely as the Astros were. But that's why Alex Cora's penalty has not yet come down, even though he was fired. His suspension has not been announced yet. Vasquez strikes out on the breaking ball, and that ends the inning. But the Mets cash a couple in the 4th and lead it 3-1 as we head to the 5th in Port St. Lucie. The Ahmed Rosario 13-game plan is on sale now. Come see the Mets take on the Yankees, Dodgers, Nationals, and more. Purchase this plan and receive a custom pair of the New Balance shoes styled by Rosario. Get your plan today at Mets.com/Rosario. That's quite a shoe. Hot dogs. Where's the mustard?
What?
No mustard? Come on.
Got to put it on yourself, I guess.
I know you guys don't like it, but where's the ketchup?
Oh, come on. Come on.
Don't even say
That's
that.
just ridiculous.
You're a smart man.
Little onions, a little chili on it.
Tyler Bachelor in to pitch the 5th inning for New York.
As Bachelor's numbers for last season.
Tyler really worked on his changeup last year, threw it a lot more, had some success with it, but was unable to sustain that at the big league level as he misses with a curveball 1-1.
And he struggled with his control also.
Mets have some changes in the field. Manny Rodriguez is now playing shortstop. Johneshwy Vargas is now in center. Quinn Brody now playing right. And John Legowski takes a strike, and it's 2-2. Early in the game, Hunter Wendelstedt didn't seem to want to call a strike.
But he's looking at TOG right now.
It's it's kind of poking along. And
Does that mean time of game? That's like LGM.
Yorme gets in front of the grounder and throws out Legowski for the first out.
Watch that front leg crossover. And for, he's not that tall. He has a stride of a taller man.
Kind of like Billy Wagner.
There you go.
Wagner was a little guy with a long stride. Hey, Is Billy Wagner going to get in the Hall of Fame one of these days?
I'd like to see him get in.
I mean, if
personally.
you look at the numbers, particularly now that we have, you know, access to more analytical numbers, it's hard to justify not putting Billy Wagner in the Hall of Fame when you look at the relievers who are in.
That's right.
I mean, he was as dominant as anybody has been this side of Mariano Rivera. And, you know, you throw in the entertainment factor. Just being around Billy
That's right.
was entertaining.
But so far, he's been kind of creeping along. He hasn't gotten a big spike yet.
Is there anybody who's not gotten in that you think deserves to get in? It was great to see Larry Walker get in on his final try.
Yes.
That was, I thought, long overdue. Is there some guy that you are boosting the candidacy of?
You know, it's. I'm gonna put it this way, okay? Because I know with all the analytics and I mean, you can crunch down a person's career. But I will tell you, pitching to him, I always felt that when I faced Dale Murphy, I was facing a Hall of Famer. I know that his numbers come up short for a lot of folks, but that's how I felt when I pitched against him.
Well, two-time MVP with the Braves. Trouble with Dale was that he just all of a sudden he fell off a cliff.
Well, present company accepted. Interestingly enough, since you're touting an Atlanta Braves center fielder, I'm going to tout a different Atlanta Braves center fielder. I think Andrew Jones, based on all of the evidence, both his offensive prowess, but more importantly, best defensive center fielder of his generation.
Yes.
I think Andrew Jones is a Hall of Fame.
And you got to see his entire career.
Bachelor picks up a strikeout as Bader is down for the second out. You know, Keith is an entirely different case, and we'll put him aside because we love him and we know that he belongs in the Hall of Fame. And one of these days, I think that's going to happen.
Well, I'm not holding my breath.
I think there's been a groundswell of support for you, Keith. And I think, you know, you never know with these veterans committees because they change from time to time. And you're not sure what's going to happen. But I think one of these days, you're going to get that call.
No, that would be make my heart soar like a hawk.
Halfway through, 3-1. The shots around the ballpark, these are just magnificent. Players of different generations in Mets history. There's Keith and Pete. Look at that nice Woogie Wilson. That's just outstanding.
Well done.
Seaver and Piazza. That's great. The two guys who closed Shea Stadium together.
Very nice.
This is great stuff, isn't it?
Love it.
That's just so inventive and such a nice way of connecting your past to the present. We go to the bottom of the fifth inning. Daniel Ponce de Leon comes on to pitch for the Cardinals. And Joneshwi Vargas, who took over in center field, will lead off. And Vargas takes a strike.
Only 13 games for Ponce de Leon. Last a season. He's got a big arm, too.
Too many walks, but otherwise pitched pretty well. We saw him as a starter against the Mets last year. Vargas came out of the Giants organization. He played in Double-A last year, hit .249 with 33 home runs. Excuse me, 33 RBIs, 5 home runs.
Okay.
That is different. And he takes a big cut at a fastball, and it's 1-2. That's got a run in the second on the Jake Marisnick home run. 2 more in the fourth. Ryan Cordell and J.D. Davis drove in the runs. And Vargas hits one to right field that'll fall for a base hit. And the Mets have the leadoff man on in the fifth, and we head downstairs to Steve Gelb. Steve?
All right, guys, thanks a lot. Steven Matz made a spring debut today. And, Steve, first of all, I mean, you've been through this plenty of times before. What are the types of things you're trying to get out of outing number one?
I'm really just looking for execution of pitches at this point. And I felt really good with everything. All my pitches, maybe the one thing, my fastball glove side, but other than that, I feel really good. I feel healthy, so that's the most important thing.
You know, this is the one thing behind the scenes that people don't see in spring training. So you finished your start about 2 hours ago, and you just finished your workout now. So what's the type of work you do after you come out of a spring game very early on where you're not pitching that much?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you only throw one inning and you try to build up. So, you know, I did some sprints. I did some weight room stuff for my upper body. And then I go in and do some recovery modalities. And then the trainer, our trainer Joe, you know, work with him on some other arm recovery stuff. So it's a lot right now. It's just getting you ready.
This is a different spring for you. We know that there's a battle now for the last 2 spots in that starting rotation. Do you approach this spring any differently? Do you view it as a competition?
Not really, no. You know, for me, I just trying to be the best I can possibly be to help this team win. You know, that's the goal, is to just maximize what I've got.
When you look at the last 2 seasons, you've started now 30 games back-to-back years, and prior to that, injuries were always a concern. What have you done to get your body into the position that you're in right now where you feel like that part of your career is behind you?
I think getting a routine that works, finding that routine. You know, sometimes I tend to do too much in between my starts, and finding that balance of being able to get my work in, but also not overdoing it, and, you know, realizing that the most important day is that day when I'm on the mound and being fresh for that day.
What are your off seasons like now that you moved to Nashville? When did you move to Nashville? About 2 years ago? 2016. What does that allow you to do that you weren't capable of doing when you were up in New York?
Actually, surprisingly, it does get pretty cold down there, so we stay inside. We work out. We have there's a lot of guys that play, you know, across the league who live in Nashville. So we got a really good group of guys that work out together. You know, we got James McCann over with the White Sox who catches my bullpens in the off season, and it's been really good.
No, Steve, last year, the second half of the season was really, I think, where you wanted to be. As you look back on it, what was the biggest difference between your first half and your second half?
I think consistency would be the first thing, and then getting through that first inning. You know, that was a big thing for me, is just getting through that first inning and then kind of getting after it after that. So once I kind of established that first inning, getting after guys right away and not trying to feel what I have for that day, kind of babying stuff, and that was a big thing.
I mean, you kind of answered it at the end, but how did you get over it? What did you change? Was it strictly mentality, or was there something else you did routine-wise to get over those first inning woes?
Yeah, I think it's really more of mentality and a trust, you know, just trusting what you have, and, you know, that day, instead of trying to feel for what you got that day. It's just, this is what I got, this is who I am as a pitcher, and they're going to get my best right from the bat.
You know, I think a lot of people know this, but your best friend in there is Jacob deGrom. The two of you guys became so close when you were rehabbing down here together years ago. What has it been like for you, as Tomas Nido grounds into a double play right there, but what has it been like for you to see him do what he's done these last 2 seasons?
It's been really cool. Just to see him, I mean, you know, just looking back at it 8 years ago or whatever, when we first were rehabbing, we had no idea where we were going to be. You know, we hadn't even pitched in pro ball yet. We were scuffling down there, and just to see him, I mean, rookie of the year, 2 Cy Youngs, it's been a lot of fun to just be able to be on the team with him and watch that happen.
Do you learn anything from him? Do you pick his brain when you're talking, having all these conversations?
Yeah, I do. I hate to admit it, but I learn a lot from him. You know, the way he goes about his business, and you know, I watch him, and I do learn a lot from him.
What is the biggest thing you picked up?
There's been a lot. One of the big things that I picked up from him is in the off season. Well, actually, I'd say 2 things. Is he's very focused on throwing glove side fastballs in his bullpens, and you know, that's something that's really important. When you can throw a glove side fastball, you can kind of work off of that. And then the other thing is throwing all year around. That's something he's adopted, and I've kind of, you know, done that as well, and that's really helped me to stay healthy.
Well, Luis Guillorme lines out there to end the inning. Steven Matz, thank you so much for the time. As always, we appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, we're back here at Clover Park. Mets lead 3-1 through 5.
Mets take on the Nationals at 1:10 p.m. The first 25,000 fans in attendance will receive a Jacob deGrom back-to-back Cy Young Award bobblehead. Compliments of Ford. Purchase tickets at Mets.com/tickets. It's interesting to hear Steven Matz light up when he talked about Jacob deGrom as Nick Rumbelow comes on the pitch.
Rumbelow signed with the Yankees in 2014, traded to the Mariners after the 2017 season, and signed by the Mets last year on August 19th.
Facing Edmundo Sosa, who took over at short for the Cardinals. And Sosa lines one into right for a base hit. So the Cardinals have the leadoff man on, their fourth hit of the afternoon.
Little inside out here, ball running in, and just kind of muscles it out over the second baseman's head.
Mets now have Jake Hager playing second base. They have Will Toffee playing third base. David Rodriguez now doing the catching. And Luis Rojas trying to keep track of all that on his scorecard. What are the mechanics of all of that in spring training? The manager obviously has some pre-planned
Absolutely.
Substitutions he wants to make. But you've got, 63 guys in camp and a huge number of them available on any given day. As Hernandez flies one out to left, and Tebow toward the corner. Right along the line in fair territory. Tagging it first and taking the extra base is Sosa. Good base running for Sosa. Gets the second with one out.
Yeah, I think before, as Tebow makes this play going to the line, so Sosa was able to take the extra base. I think he has it scripted and mapped out, so you make sure you get guys off their feet and don't want them out there for 9 innings yet. Or
so this guy gets 2 at-bats, then you're in.
Yeah, exactly. And he probably tells, his bench coach or say, listen, get him loose. He's in next inning. And the pitching part has been easier because it seems these first 2 games that everyone's just going 1 inning.
Leslie Mullins, the Mets bench coach.
That is an early spring training card right there.
Lane Thomas now batting for the Cardinals for the first time. And Hernandez, the Mets catcher, able to knock it down. Both teams have catchers named Hernandez in the game now. Or this is David Rodriguez in the game for the Mets. Oscar Hernandez is the catcher for the Cardinals.
That's right.
These are the hardest days. They really are.
That try men's lives?
It only gets easier from here.
They're hard, Gary, because you're such a perfectionist. If you're like Keith and I, we just don't pay attention after some point.
That one pops out of the glove of Rodriguez, and over to third goes Sosa on the pass ball. Well, here's the thing. You never know whose mom and dad are watching.
That's right.
So if you misidentify a player, then mom and dad get mad.
That's right.
And even though, the average fan watching at home doesn't really know the difference between David Rodriguez and Oscar Hernandez, the people who care really care.
And the other thing is that a young player here, he might be up in September, and something you picked up and watched him do in spring training lets you know what kind of player he is later in the year.
Or alternatively, this could be the only day that player ever plays in a major league.
That's true. That's a good point, Gary.
And you wouldn't want to, miss out on that.
That's right.
Could be Moonlight Graham. Breaking ball down from Rumbelow, and it's 3-2. I will say this. A few years ago, every once in a while, you'd have a guy come over from minor league camp to participate in a major league spring training game. Now, every day there are 12 guys from the minor league camp dressed and ready to go.
Yep.
I'm not quite sure why that is when you have 63 players in camp that you need 12 more guys to come over to fill out your spring training game.
Always used to bring more extra catchers because they got to have the bullpen down there warming up pitchers.
And there's ball 4. So Rumbelow walks Lane Thomas, and there are 2 men on. That's a lot of catchers.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All with equipment on.
It's not great being a catcher in spring training. I tell you, you are just locked on those backfields, catching pitcher after pitcher.
But I will say this: there are more catchers who get invitations to Major League spring training who, if they played another position, wouldn't.
That's right.
Because you do need so many guys to catch your 35 pitchers in camp. 35 pitchers officially in camp.
Wow. I remember Gary Carter later in his Mets career when his knees had gotten so bad that in spring training he would sit on a little stool and catch. Like he would not.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Try to take some pressure off his knees.
Better to have more catchers, though, so you don't have to do that. It's hard to provide a good target sitting on a stool. And Yoris Montero wears that one, and that'll load up the bases.
He had no chance of getting out of the way of that one. Just a little bit inside.
Senor Montero has a wide back, and Rumbelow did not miss it. Right between the 4 and the 9.
Yep.
So an uneven inning for Nick Rumbelow. A single, a walk, a hit by pitch, and they're loaded up with 1 out. And now Justin Williams will bat for the first time. Williams has a chance to make this team. We were talking about the Cardinals needing outfielders. And he grounds one, a potential double play ball. Hager to Rodriguez and back to first, and that's a double play. And that gets Nick Rumbelow out of the top of the 6th. Nicely done. Still 3-1 New York. Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center is helping local baseball and softball leagues with grants, clinics, and Mets game experiences. Right now, we're accepting applications to nominate a league in need. Apply today at sny.tv/playball. Home 6th inning. Quinn Brody up for the first time. Well, the job there is to protect the bullpen catcher, but the bullpen catcher left to his own devices.
That is,
well, very observant.
So there was something lost in the translation there.
they'll be on him hard for that.
It is Mitch Gelfie trying to protect Patrick Mazeika.
He looks
and
like
a good breaking ball by Ponce de Leon strikes out Brody. Hernandez makes the throw, and that's the first out of the home sixth. By the way, did you see the size of the first baseman for the Cardinals, Lucan Baker?
Yes.
That is an enormous human being.
looks like Tyler Fury. Oh. A monster.
Got to get the particulars on this guy. Lucan Baker. There's Tebow, who's been on base via the walk both times up. Lucan Baker is listed at 6'4", 265.
6'4".
It looks like he's about 6'9".
Yes.
I mean, he's wearing number 79, which figures he kind of looks like an offensive tackle.
It's like Luca Brasi, the Godfather.
Is Baker a family name, or is that the profession? 2-2 to Tebow. Daniel Ponce de Leon working his second inning of relief. Gave up a base hit, but got a double play ball in the 5th. Great to have a Ponce de Leon pitching in Florida. And the youthful Ponce de Leon strikes out Tebow for the second out. Now David Thompson, longtime Met minor leaguer, now 26 years old, University of Miami product. Played at AA and AAA last year. Steven Nagosic up in the Mets bullpen. Mets 3 runs, 7 hits. The Cardinals 1 run and 4 hits. We're playing in the 6th. And now 3-1. And that's outside ball 4, so Thompson's on with a 2-out walk. Now Manny Rodriguez will bat for the first time.
Rodriguez finished the game yesterday at shortstop. In there again today.
There are starters and there are finishers. The starters are probably on the golf course by now.
Right.
Such is the rhythm of spring training. Will Toffee, who's now playing third base, is on deck. Manny Rodriguez, born in Brooklyn, high school in Maryland, college at the University of Cincinnati. Curveball in for a strike, and it's 0-2. Mets have a number of New York area products on their team with Matz and Brad Brock, but they actually have a city kid now with Dylan Betances.
That's right.
Born in Washington Heights, went to high school in Brooklyn. Up and into Rodriguez, 1-2.
They say when they think he's going to be in a game, they're going to take it slow, aren't they?
I don't think it's going to be that slow. I think he's not restricted in any way, coming back from the Achilles injury that ended his season after what, 2 batters after he came back from the shoulder problem last year, celebrating, hurt his Achilles. But what an addition he potentially is for this Mets bullpen. 3 strikeouts in the inning for Ponce de Leon, and that sends us off to the 7th, where the Mets up 3-1. Steven Nagosic, who made his big league debut for the Mets last year, will come on to pitch in the 7th.
See 35 games in AA, AAA, 7 games pitched for the Mets.
He'll face Austin Dean to lead off in the 7th as we check in with Steve.
Gary, well, at the top of the broadcast, Ron said Jerry's Familia, he really is in the best shape of his life, despite what everybody says in spring training. This one is the truth. And Jerry's, I mean, you look completely transformed. So right off the bat, How different do you feel physically right now, having dropped the 30 pounds this offseason?
I mean, honestly, I feel like a baby. Like always, I never feel like that. I mean, now everything's easy for me. My delivery, I mean, completely different in everything.
What was the hardest part of making the transformation this offseason?
For me, honestly, was the food. Trying to get away from the rice. I'm not just saying like I start eating rice, but when I'm from Dominican. We eat rice every day. That's regular for everybody. So trying to get away from that for me is tough.
So you talk about everything feeling different for you this year, the delivery feeling much better. What made you last year, aside from the results, say to yourself, okay, something has to change, and this getting in shape is going to be the most important part of it? What happened last year to lead to that?
I mean, when the season ended last year, I asked Dustin what was my weight like 2 years ago. So he said my weight was 237, 240. So I said I gotta get to that weight, get a spin trainer, and get there, get back again, and see how I feel. And that's what I'm working on.
When you talk about the change in delivery because of the loss of weight, what does it allow you to do now that you weren't able to do a year ago?
I mean, for me, it's easy now, like, to release the ball in front of me. It's not cost me like last year. It's cost me a lot to finish my pitch in front. Now everything, like I say, is easy. It's come natural.
Weight aside, how difficult was last season for you to go through?
Oh, man, it was tough. I mean, it's one of the seasons I think everybody's going to have, but I feel proud because I think if I had that season I have last year, I'm not going to work the way I worked this whole season. And I feel better pitching now. I feel I got more experience, and I feel better than ever.
Can you describe what the level of motivation is after a season like that to prove that that was just a one-off, that you can get back to where you want to be?
I mean, honestly, I just want to get myself on track. Like the year I have to set in the building. So I try to work, like I said, in my body and do everything I could to get to the point I feel great. And right now I feel like that. And I don't have no doubt I'm going to have a great season.
Now, your first 2 years in the big leagues, not full-time. You weren't playing full-time, but Jeremy Hefner was a teammate of yours in 2012 and 2013. Now he's your pitching coach. Everybody on the staff seems to be raving about him early in spring training. What has he helped you with? What has he been like to work with in this role?
I mean, what I like from him, he's very simple. He don't try to put a lot of stuff in your mind, and that's what you want as a pitcher. You don't want somebody came and talk to you a lot of things. It's better when somebody can and just say, look, just this, do this. Throw your fastball over there and do this, grip your fastball like that. You're looking for something like that. And for me, he's one of the best so far in spin trainer. Thing he's doing for me and those guys and everybody, I think is great.
And I know he's talked to you about changing your splitter grip and widening the grip a little bit. How comfortable do you feel with that grip right now, and what does that allow that pitch to do?
I mean, I change the grip a little bit. I open the finger a little bit more. And I just see the result. Like, I throw for lefty and right-hander and see how they swing and miss. And also, I change the grip, the slider. And I got more command. I feel better, and I feel happy with everything I do right now.
What'd you change on the slider?
I change my grip, too.
What is the difference in grip that it allows the slider to do something differently?
Now I grip like a four-seamer a little bit. I just trying to stay over the ball. It's like Mariano Rivera quarter, and I feel great, man. I got more command.
Well, you've been smiling a lot this spring. I know you said you can't wait for the season to get started. So, as always, we wish you the best of luck. Thanks so much for the time.
Thank you.
All right, here's Jerry's Familia. A totally new look. Jerry's Familia. Send it back to you in the booth.
Well, I just, Jerry Reese is an easy person to root for. And I think the game, Keith started the broadcast saying how hard the game is. And if you can eliminate the physical part of the game and make that easier for yourself, it'll make the game easier also.
Steve's interview presented by Citi. Well, I agree with you. Jerry's Familia has always been as affable a human being as you could ask for in that clubhouse, and it was difficult for him, and it was difficult to watch him go through what he did last year, considering the heights that he has scaled for this ball club. And you know, there's a reckoning point in everybody's career, whether you're a ball player or whatever else it is you do, where you have to take yourself in hand and say, this is not working, it is time to try something different.
I remember it happened for me in 1990. I mean, that was when you really had to look in the mirror and say, okay, if I want to continue to play at a high level, I'm going to have to rethink how I get hitters out, because I just didn't have the natural athletic ability, that I had earlier in your career. Who does? It changes.
Well, particularly if you're packing extra weight. You can get away with it maybe when you're younger, but it catches up to you as you get older, and it's just, you've got to keep yourself in physical condition.
And in some ways, it's easier today because you know so much more about nutrition, and there's so much more information available to these players about how to make sure that you eat well, sleep well, train properly, and get your body in the best possible shape.
I've been asked by a lot of folks, as the runner was taking off there, well, if I played today, what would I do? And the number one thing is I'd have someone cook my food. I would have a chef you're only eating, putting in good things in your body.
And a lot of players do that now, both in the clubhouse and also in the off season. Now you got some guys who just, they're able to eat fast food and thrive, but those are the exception, not the rule.
I wouldn't recommend fast food.
Runner goes. Mendoza strikes out. The throw to second by Rodriguez. Overslide, and he's out. Austin Dean overslide in the bag. It's a strike him out, throw him out, double play. The oven mitt lost contact with the cushion.
He was out to start with, and didn't have to wait for him to come back.
I mean, my basic diet when I played, and I never had a weight issue when I was in my 20s, and in my career, I didn't have to worry about weight. I ran later in my cross country, but I was always just steak, high protein, high carb, because you're out there playing every day. You need to fuel your body. Steak and eggs on day games. Steak, baked potato, salad.
Put the order out the night before.
Occasional veggie.
So basically you were going keto 40 years before keto was popular.
Yes, he was.
I mean, steak and eggs used to be the staple of every football training table.
That's right. Yep. It was my staple in Wrigley Field. I guarantee you that. You run that room service card out at 12 midnight or 1 o'clock whenever you got home, went to bed, and that had it come in around 8:30 in the morning.
I'm very impressed if you were getting to bed at midnight in Chicago.
Well, okay, 2.
That's why, they say the toughest thing in baseball in those days was a day game after a day game in Chicago.
Yep.
Bad and happy. 1-2 coming to Lucan Baker, and he takes a breaking ball low and away. 2-2. Sorry if I'm distracted. The Pirates are up 16 on the Red Storm.
Oh, okay.
About 11 minutes to go. It's been quite a year.
You guys have a chance to go deep into that tournament, Gary.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 of the top 4 teams in the country lost last night. San Diego State lost. Gonzaga lost.
What was it, Baylor also,
Baylor,
right? Kansas beat Baylor.
And Nagosic finishes the inning with back-to-back strikeouts. And that'll do it for the Cardinals in the top of the 7th. Stretch time, 3-1. The 7th, Mets with a 3-1 lead. New pitcher in the game for the Cardinals, Jesus Cruz, who came out of the Mexican League. Pitched in AA and AAA for the Cardinals last year. Steve Gelbs has another player interview presented by Citi. Steve.
Fast and furious right now. We've got J.D. Davis joining us right now. And J.D., listen, you know, I want to get into what you're working on here in spring training, all that stuff. But for me, you are a fascinating guy because of what you did a season ago, bursting onto the scene the way that you did. This offseason, was it wildly different for you just in terms of notoriety, popularity, people recognizing you than it had ever been?
Oh, yeah. You know, I couldn't say back in Oak Grove because it's just a small town. Everybody, you know, knows everybody. But, yeah, going back, you know, making my trips back to New York, you know, just walking the Mets putting me up near, like, Broadway or the 7th and just walking around and seeing people actually recognize me and stuff like that. That's I've never had that treatment before, so I was kind of like double checking, looking behind me. I'm like, who's this? So it's been a wild ride of, you know, and it's New York, man. I love the people there, I love the fans there, I love the city. So it's been great.
I'm sure you didn't need that to verify what you did a season ago, but what is the level of satisfaction when you start to get that type of recognition and you take a step back and realize that all that hard work finally paid off the way that you wanted it to last year?
Yeah, you know, you hit it right on the head. You know, just the work that you put in and day out of, you know, grinding after tough season of going or tough stint in the big leagues and not really having anything click for you. And then to finally come on the scene and get your opportunity and just to run with it and have fun and have a great, you know, group of guys in here around the same age as you. And just to be a part of the second half that we had, and you know, just have some fun with the guys and being, you know, playing in the best city in all of U.S. It's unbelievable.
You mentioned the guys and how close you are, and I did a little sideline hit on this yesterday, but you can talk about it better than I can. I know you guys had a group chat that you kept going throughout the offseason. This group is clearly a lot closer than most groups really are. Are you calling?
No, I just topped it, just barely. That was a good swing, though.
But what is it about this group? When did that happen in the season? Why are you guys as close as you are, and what is that relationship like in that clubhouse?
Yeah, you know, we all started our relationship last year in spring training. You know, I knew Conforto just because of the class, or the same draft class as I was. You know, I knew Dom. He used to be represented by my agency, so we've had camps before of just, you know, just staying in touch, knowing him. And then I knew Nimmo through the grapevine. I played McNeil at Long Beach State when I was at Fullerton, so I knew all of these guys at some point or ran into them. So me learning from how I was with the Astros and my personality, I was kind of the quiet guy. I was a fly on the wall. I tried to, you know, just blend in, not have any attention towards myself. So coming in here, I wasn't as happy as I was with the Astros. I wasn't really expressing myself, and I remember just coming in and just, you know, just being free and loose and just wanting to at least have a relationship with these guys. And these guys had the same kind of desire as well. And so we all just, you know, day by day after games or after, you know, practices here, we would, you know, if it was 1, 2, or 3 of us, 4, or even, you know, all 6 of us just to hang out, it was pretty special. And we just always talked about last year in spring training that we had an opportunity, or we have such a young group. And, you know, looking back at the Kansas City Royals, we look back at, you know, what Boston did. You know, you could look back at all these teams that, you know, are farm grown, or at least have trade for young guys and, you know, build something. And so I think we were just aware of it, and, you know, we just wanted to build something for the Mets, and, you know, but that relationship was the number one thing that we all strive to have. And then everything else came on the side, just the goofing off, the cookies late night, you know, just messing around with each other, talking smack. That all came at the end. But you know, we love each other. We love playing for each other. And hopefully, you know, this group, or at least, you know, we can set the standard for at least the Mets for a long, long time.
So, JD, obviously talent matters first and foremost, and the work that one puts in. But when it comes to a winning team, a winning culture, how much do you think having those friendships, having that chemistry, how much does that actually play into winning baseball?
Oh, tremendous. I've been on good teams, I've been on bad teams, and I think the biggest takeaway you can have when you're on a good team is that the chemistry or the camaraderie and the relationships that you have with the guys is the number one thing, because first off, you're honest with each other, and you respect each other, and so when you're honest with each other, you kind of hold each other accountable. You try to push each other, and when you respect someone, you continue to come out and give it your 110% for your other teammates. So we all believe in that. Every single guy in that clubhouse believes in that, and so we just it's the number one thing, and we try to do that. We try to be open to these young guys come up here and just hang around. I know the rule of thumb, for at least us older guys, is we can leave around the 5th or 6th inning, but at least some of us older guys we've talked about, we want to hang around and just kind of socialize with the guys on the bench, talk to them, cheer for them, and again, set the standard for us, and that just because you're a young guy up here and you're in the batter's box, it does not matter. It does not take away the fact that you're on a big league field, you're in a big league clubhouse, and you can contribute any way possible, and you're one of us.
Well, JD, it's a long spring. I know I said I'd ask you some baseball questions, but why don't we leave it at that for now? And you know what? You're just going to come back with us later on during the spring, all right?
Perfect. Sounds great.
All right. He is JD Davis. Thanks so much for the time. Gary, let's send it back to you.
I have two takeaways from that. One is I cannot imagine JD Davis ever being a fly on the wall anywhere.
Yeah.
That's one. And two, what he's just finished with is really interesting, that guys who could leave in the middle of these spring training games have chosen not to try and make these younger players who are playing late in the game feel like a part of the group.
Well, it's not chemistry as much when you do things like that as it is fostering a culture for your organization. That you see the Cardinals started with every starter watching the other starter warm up for a game. Now the Mets do that. That's part of promoting the right kind of culture on your ball club. But I wouldn't take it away from the guys who want to go home either. You should do what suits you.
Janeshwi Fargas hanging tough in this at bat against Jesus Cruz. Well, JD Davis, I mean, it kind of got lost a little bit because of the year Alonso had and because of the year McNeil had. But he just had an extraordinary season last year, particularly hitting at Citi Field, where he had the highest OPS in franchise history for any player playing at home. 2-2 now to Fargas.
It's amazing how the game waffles back and forth. There was a time when, a few seasons ago, you're told by a lot of people chemistry doesn't mean anything on a ball club.
Well, some might still tell you that.
Well, that's nonsense.
There's a lot of things that go into making a winning team, and sometimes winning makes chemistry. But I think that having guys who get along doesn't hurt.
Again, we're going back to the same thing Keith started with. Game's so hard. If you can make it easier, make it easier.
8th pitch of this at bat to Fargas, and he takes it high. And a base hit his first time up. Longtime minor leaguer in the Giants organization, trying to make an impression and having a good at bat here. Franklin Kilome is up in the bullpen. Very interested to watch him pitch. Guy the Mets got in a trade for Asdrubal Cabrera 2 years ago, but then had Tommy John surgery, and he projects as a guy who will be a part of the future of this franchise. Fargas grounds one out to shortstop, and Sosa makes the play. High throw, and Baker just got back in the bag in time. It was close. No replay in spring training.
Excellent.
But we can show it.
Okay.
I don't know.
I think safe.
Safe. That's okay. It's spring.
Our next spring broadcast on SNY will be Wednesday afternoon when the Astros come to Port St. Lucie. That should be Noah Syndergaard's first start of the spring. 1 o'clock right here on SNY on Wednesday.
Wait, we're going to be up there.
Some of the young fans on hand. Are you supposed to wear the ice cream helmet on your head?
You washed it from the ice cream.
Well, it's a very tentative smile. But thanks for joining us. It's good to have you. Franklin Kilome is on to pitch for the Mets.
Dominican right-hander. See his numbers last year in the minors. 26 starts.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, sorry.
Missed all of last year because of Tommy John surgery. I should say 2018. Mets traded Asdrubal Cabrera to the Phillies at the trading deadline 2 years ago, and Kilome made 7 starts for Binghamton before he went down with the Tommy John surgery. It was very impressive, and he is certainly a pitcher to keep your eye on.
6'6", 175 pounds.
Do you think that's why he wears number 66?
Maybe.
Nice easy delivery. Facing Max Schrock leading off in the 8th inning. And Schrock drives one to right center. That'll get over Brody's head and go back to the wall. Schrock turns second. He's going to try for 3. The relay throw to third by Hager is not in time. A leadoff triple for Max Schrock in the 8th inning.
Gets on top of this belt-high fastball, drives it right into the gap, and he is hustling out of the chute here and gets a trip.
Laboring a little bit there at the end.
Infield will stay back with a 2-run lead. And Edmundo Sosa comes up empty on the fastball. 0-1. Kilome's been a starter throughout his minor league career. But he really has yet to develop a third pitch, so you wonder whether his future might be in the bullpen at the big league level. Good stop by Rodriguez to keep the runner at third. It's often the case with taller pitchers that it takes them a while to develop the kind of command that you need to succeed consistently at the big league level. Breaking ball off the plate, 2-1.
Although the demands on starting pitchers are less, so we do see some guys in the league, because they don't go the third or fourth time through lineups, sometimes only having 2 pitches. But 3 is better, of course.
And that's drilled to deep left field. Parker takes a look, and it's out of here. It cleared the first fence and hit off the back wall. That's a 2-run homer for Edmundo Sosa to tie the game 3-3. So a triple and now a 2-run homer. And the Cardinals have drawn even in the 8th.
The fastball here. Yes, sir. And turned on it right there.
So Kilome is greeted rudely. And now Oscar Hernandez takes a strike. 0-1. Sosa hit 17 home runs in AAA last year. Yeah, that was a bullet. Didn't get that high off the ground, but had enough to clear that front fence. right below the Jim Beam Bourbon Bar. As long as nobody falls out of the Jim Beam Bourbon Bar trying to catch that ball. There's the curveball fouled off.
You know, we're seeing a lot of the young players here for the Cardinals, and I was just thinking about what is going to be really important for them this year. They'll probably pitch it the same, they'll catch it the same, but I think Matt Carpenter has to come back. He had an off year last year.
Well, it's going to be interesting because the Cardinals, the one thing they didn't do well last year is this one's grounded to short, and Manny Rodriguez throws out. Hernandez one away. They could never find a consistent leadoff hitter. Right? Carpenter had been that guy in the past, guy who would have a high on-base percentage despite a low batting average, but he struggled. Dexter Fowler struggled with a leadoff hitter. They tried Colton Wong as a leadoff hitter. Their leadoff hitters had the second lowest batting average, the second lowest on-base percentage, and the lowest slugging percentage in the major leagues last year. So if Carpenter can rebound, that gives them not only a starting third baseman, but a guy who can lead off and be effective in that spot.
The only other guy I can think of other than Bader, who played here this afternoon, maybe Tommy Edman might be a guy they think of in the leadoff spot.
Edman was terrific after he came up, and he can play third base if that's what it comes down to. Although, you know, they think of Edman very much the way the Mets think of McNeil, now who can play anywhere and fill a spot in the lineup. That's a good-looking fastball from Kilome, and it's 1-2 to Lane Thomas, who's up for the second time. Getaway day? I mean, could we park the luggage somewhere other than on the field? I mean, is that in play?
Yes, it is.
How about taking some of the tags off occasionally?
I mean, off the suitcase for 2 bases?
Someone's got a 5:30 flight out of PBI.
Look at that thing.
Wow. You know, is that showing off where you've been with all those tags on it? Been through security a number of times, it would appear. Fly ball out to center. Fargas was playing shallow. He gets turned around and goes back to get it. Joneshwi Fargas playing a very shallow center field, but able to retreat and make the play for the second out.
When you get those shadows now around the plate, wonder if he lost it off the bat initially.
Nice recovery.
Now Eleoris Montero, who got hit in the back by a pitch in his only plate appearance. I mean, are we supposed to report that to security?
Say something?
Well, if you see something. I mean, security is not too far away.
But
so he doesn't seem particularly concerned. He's ready for a foul ball, though. We've got his glove. One-two coming. Bounces in 2-2.
How many games you doing, Gary?
This spring?
Yeah.
I'm doing the first 5. This is number 2. You?
So you're not like J.D. Davis, who stays around and tries to help the younger players, you just take off.
I stay for all 9 innings of games I do. That's strike 3 called.
Gary,
Montero was out.
I mean, you go home and you rest because you got a big season ahead.
We go to the bottom of the 8th, and former #1 draft pick Jake Woodford comes on for the Cardinals.
Selected by the Cardinals in 2015. Really, you see those walks an issue for Woodford so far in his professional career.
Woodford from Tampa, went to Plant High School in Tampa. Not to be confused with Plant City, which is the strawberry capital of the world, where the Reds used to train.
Well, the Texas Rangers used to train there, and I spent one day in Plant City because I was sent down by the big club in 1982 spring training, drove across Florida, got to Plant City, and the light was on my phone, and I've been traded to the Metropolitans. One day.
So you found out that you had been traded in Plant City, Florida.
Yes.
Did you celebrate by buying a pint of strawberries?
No, I did not.
They're great
shocked.
Strawberries.
No, I was shocked. I'd just been drafted 4 or 5 months earlier.
Plant City was out in the boondocks, too. Oh, you got rescued.
I did.
From Plant City to St. Pete?
Oh, I was lucky.
Think about how that changed your life. Think about if you had not been traded and had come up to the big leagues as a Texas Ranger.
I'd be wearing cowboy boots. I mean, it's just crazy. It really is.
I mean, think about how defined you are by the fact that you were a Met.
I know.
For that large chunk of your career.
Do you know this is either being a uniform in the booth? This is my 25th year. So the Mets for 10 years, and this is our 15th, right?
Can we make it to 20? The three of us?
We're going to make it to the end of this game.
I mean,
there you go.
The bag is on the move. God's giving him the business. What are you leaving your bag on the field for?
Look at the security guard. He still doesn't know what's going on.
Steve, can you enlighten us as to why the bag was on the field?
I sure can. That's what I'm here for, boys. Let's just say he's an old veteran, and he knew he was about to leave, so he did not want to go lifting the bag over the barrier here into the camera well and then back over top. So he just left it on the field so that he could take off quickly, make a quick getaway.
If he was a veteran, he wouldn't endanger the third baseman's life if he came over for a foul ball and have the bag on the field.
It's all about priorities.
Did you ask him about the tags?
I didn't. I told you he was trying to make a quick getaway.
I'm also wondering whether he needs to give a bit of a refund to Treasure Coast Dermatology for blocking their sign for an inning.
I think you'll just have to read the card twice on Wednesday, Gary.
Well, we just boosted their business by an exponential number. Jake Hager takes the pitch low, and it's 3-1.
I was going to say, he helped him. You gave him a massive pop there.
The person with the bag is a guy named Steve, who's with one of the card companies. He takes pictures of all the ball players, and those are the ones that end up on the cards. Baseball cards.
It's a good thing to know. You want to stay in his good graces. You don't want to pick out one that has you, making a face.
I mean, he's been taking pictures of ball players when I played.
Wonder what's in the bag.
Oh, you don't want to know. That's an absolute.
It's one of the great mysteries.
See, now, if we had gotten the bomb squad out there, we would have found out. Big hop is short for Sosa, who's had a nice game, and he throws out Hager 2 away. Sosa with a home run and made a couple of nice defensive plays. So 2 out. Now Quinn Brody will bat for the second time. We had a tie game in the 8th inning yesterday. A tie game in the 8th inning again today. Mets are looking for their first win of the spring. They got beaten 2 different venues yesterday. Brody struck out in his only at bat. Oh, there you go. There's Steve. Where did he have his suitcase before the game when he was taking these pictures?
Oh, we got to get one of our cameramen to get him walking through the parking lot.
Muscled out to center field, falling fast and in for a base hit for Brody. He takes a wide turn. Now the throw behind him, and he gets back safely. Lane Thomas trying to make the sliding catch, but Brody dunks it in front of him for a 2-out hit.
Little bloop here in center field. Nice effort.
And now Jared Parker will bat for the first time. Took over in left field from Tim Tebow, who struck out and walked twice in his 3 plate appearances. Parker started yesterday in left field and went 0 for 2. Former big prospect with the Giants, trying to find a spot. A nice time to steal a base in a tie game in the 8th inning for a team that is trying to push the envelope on the bases this year, at least in spring training. Brody had 13 steals in the minor leagues last year, playing for St. Lucie and Binghamton. Double flap with the C flap. It's a lot of flap. And Woodford paying him plenty of attention. Can I say something that I've waited many years to say?
Okay.
Jay Horwitz has written a book.
Oh.
Can you believe? Think of the secrets that Jay knows that could be in that book. Mr. Med is going to be published in May. I think it's available for pre-order now on Amazon.
Yes.
Go get it. You're going to want to order this book. And Jacob deGrom wrote the foreword.
Yes, he did. And did you sit down with an interview with the author?
Yes.
With Jay and his guy? I did a telephone interview with.
That's going to fall into center for a base hit. Going first to third is Brody. The throw goes to second, so Jared Parker with a base hit. And the Mets with a pair of 2-out singles. Now have the go-ahead run at third with 2 down. But I am very much looking forward to reading Jay's book. I mean, nobody knows where the skeletons are buried more than Jay.
Oh, and Jay went through the hard years, too, with the Mets, and those lean years.
Jay's first year was 1980.
I believe that's right.
Okay.
When he says that he got the job despite spilling his orange juice on Frank Cashin. David Thompson up for the second time, walked in his first at bat.
That'll be a first. Jay usually drops that on his tie. Dropped it on someone else.
Well, Jay has, he's had a little more time on his hands since stepping back from his longtime role as vice president of media relations. Now he's in charge of alumni relations and did a magnificent job in his first year bringing former Mets back into the fold. It was great last year to see so many of the older players, and Jay had everything to do with that.
I mean, Keith and I have known Jay so long that you have like a genuine just love for the man. He's just an amazing guy, and I can't wait to read the book either. I just hope we both come off nice, Keith.
I hope so too. We should. We treated Jay like gold, as he deserved. And Jay did a terrific job as the PR, because when things started turning around in '84, the media attention, Jay was the one that orchestrated everything and made it very easy for us.
Here's the thing about that book. Jay never says a bad thing about anyone.
I know.
And I'm sure it won't have the bad things in there either.
But it'll be funny.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
He is stealthy funny.
Yeah.
We never had in those days where Ron Darling will do interview with the media at 10:30.
It was like, I'm available. I'm here all day.
High breaking ball misses, and it's 2-0. Another guy with the double flap and the C flap.
I mean, it was just an entirely different atmosphere in spring training. You would be in your locker all morning. You know, writers would just hang out, and you'd have discussions for an hour at times.
Well, the media availability now is much more limited.
Yeah, the access was.
Right.
I know Bob Clappish was tweeting this morning. He remembered one time he was in the clubhouse just talking with one of the players. It was Davey Johnson was having a meeting. He was in there. It's like, oh, you might as well stay, Clapp. It's no big deal.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen.
No.
Hey, there was the day when that the press flew on our plane with us
for many years.
That doesn't happen anymore.
2-1 to David Thompson. And he pops one back just over our heads. Almost at our first in the booth this spring.
Yeah, I remember on some of those flights, Joe Durso would be on some of those flights, and he was such an interesting man. You could talk to him about so many different things. Yeah, I think he was a fighter pilot, so he'd talk about that. And
first and third, 2 down, 2-2 to Thompson. And he goes down swinging on the high fastball. And Woodford finds his way out of trouble in the bottom of the 8th. Lots of work to do. Can't keep track of that suitcase.
He's trying to teach the guy how to swing.
Well, Jacob deGrom hasn't made a spring debut, but his doppelganger is ready to go.
Get your arm up, Jake.
He's saving it for when it matters. Geico Sports Night comes your way tonight at 11 o'clock. Seton Hall and St. John's. Big game today. Pirates won by 16. That's 12-3 in the Big East, by the way.
Wow.
Cespedes talks. Stephen Matz talks. Pitches. All coming up on Geico Sports Night. Errol Gonzalez comes on to pitch in the 9th inning. So Mike Schild wants to know from Luis Rojas, are we playing past the 9th?
Yep.
No, that's it. Chili Davis says no more.
Yep, we're done.
Uncle.
Errol Gonzalez had a pretty good year in the minor leagues last year, playing at Binghamton and Syracuse.
Games 25, 23 of those starts, and he went 12-4 in those 2 venues.
3.01 ERA. It's very odd to see any Met, much less a pitcher, wear number 5. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, really. That was like you, Ronnie, when you were 12.
That's right. Well, all the pitchers wanted to wear lower numbers. Doc, of course, wore 16. Bobby O was 19. Rick Aguilera 15. Only Sid had the high number, and for good reason.
Justin Williams goes around for strike 3, and he can pose there as long as he wants. He's still out. That's the first down in the 9th. I mean, there's only so long that you can hold the pose and think you're going to get the call changed.
What's better maybe is to drop the bat and run.
That's what the rule says you're supposed to do. So 1 out and nobody on. Now Austin Dean, who's played the whole game, he's walked twice and flied into a double play. Gets out of the way of Gonzalez fastball. I mean, Gonzalez is in minor league camp, but don't you find it strange that the Mets are giving anybody number 5?
I didn't even want to go there. Yeah, I do. I always thought that at some point David's going to be on the field and they're going to retire it maybe.
Well, I don't know about that, but at least you want to hold it in abeyance for a while to see how that works itself out. There's number 5 with the name you would expect to have associated with it. And Gonzalez with back-to-back strikeouts to start the ninth.
You don't hear this very often, but Gonzalez is a crafty right-hander.
Got a little spin on that one.
Yep.
So Austin Dean is struck out, 2 out in the inning. And now Eric Mendoza comes up for the second time. Excuse me, Evan Mendoza comes up for the second time. Struck out his first time up. And that's through the hole and into right field for a 2-out hit. So it appears as though the decision has been made not to play past the 9th inning, which means that if Gonzalez can get one more out, the Mets will be in a no-lose situation. Right?
Yes.
It would be win or tie. Here's Lucan Baker, who struck out in his only at bat. Mets have now used 9 pitchers, 1 per inning.
Used 8 yesterday, right?
Right, because Corey Oswald went 2 innings yesterday. No one's gone more than 1 today. Matz, Familia, Brock, Gazelman, Bachelor, Rumbelow, Nagosic, Colome, and now Gonzalez. And among them, they have struck out 9. And Slider misses, and it's 2-0 to Baker. That is the best way to spend the afternoon.
Yes.
Rolling down the berm.
Oh, in his own little world there. Yeah.
You know how many times you can do that over the course of 9 innings and come up smiling every time? And that's through the hole. So back-to-back ground ball singles with 2 out. And so the Cardinals threatening here in the 9th. And Max Schrock, who hit a ringing triple his last time up, will come to bat.
Look at the difference in size from the first baseman and the first base coach, who's Stubby Clapp.
Well, there's a reason you get nicknamed Stubby. It's not because you're 6'3" and 265 like Lucan Baker. Unless I'm mistaken, Stubby is not his given name. Who was the entertainer? Stubby K?
Yes.
Stubby K,
Yes.
Very good guy.
He was bald, if I recall.
Now I need to know. Hold on.
Danny K, but
I need to know. Stubby. Richard Keith Clapp, nicknamed Stubby. It's Canadian, of course.
Yes.
Windsor, Ontario.
5'8", 176 pounds.
Windsor, Ontario, you know, to get from Detroit in Michigan to Windsor, Ontario in Ontario, Canada, you go south.
That's right.
South from Detroit into Canada, into Windsor. Geographical quirk. Well, we've got action readying in the Cardinal bullpen. Extra arms just in case. Nobody warming up right now, so it would appear that Jake Woodford, who pitched the 8th, is going to pitch the 9th as well for St. Louis. Gonzalez behind 2-0 on Schrock. And it's hit hard and through the hole, a base hit. Around third comes Mendoza. The throw to the plate by Brody on a hop, and he is out at the plate.
Nice.
Quinn Brody with an outstanding throw from right field. And Rodriguez put down the tag. And that gets the Mets through the top of the ninth. 3 straight 2-out hits, but Quinn Brody equal to the task, coming up throwing. And a perfect one-hop throw to the plate. And Mendoza is gunned down. So we go to the bottom of the ninth, still tied 3-3. Oh, we've graduated from rolling down the hill to somersaulting down the hill.
Oh, it makes me miss my little guy. Turns 4 today.
Cash is 4?
4 today.
Now, wow. I saw a video of your young man, your now 4-year-old, playing lacrosse.
Plays lacrosse and soccer on Saturdays, soccer on Sunday. He's about ready to start hockey.
Oh, boy.
Now, I didn't hear you say anything about anything that relates to baseball or T-ball.
It's not in season, Gary. He'll be playing T-ball when April comes. Absolutely.
Okay. Just check.
Loves sports.
Well,
I mean, my other 2 sons didn't like sports, so you just don't know. Last shot.
Now, Jordan could have been a great athlete.
He was a good athlete. Jordan was.
He just had other things that interested him more.
That, and also once he, type 1 diabetes, once he found out he had type 1, he didn't really want to play sports anymore. He started playing musical instruments instead. I mean, there's been a lot of players that play with type 1, but he just wasn't for him then.
Mm-hmm. Manny Rodriguez leading off in the last of the ninth against Jake Woodford in a 3-3 game. In a game that's going to end after this half inning, no matter what happens. And that one gets away on strike 3. Recovered by the pitcher Woodford. Nice. He throws him out. That's alert play by Jake Woodford on a 3rd strike in the dirt. A half swing, and Woodford able to get the 1-3 put out on the strikeout for the first down.
Just a little delay there by Rodriguez cost him first base.
At least he didn't pose.
No, he didn't.
The way Justin Williams did earlier. He took off for first base eventually.
Good job by Woodford. Good hustle.
You don't see too many strikeout 1-3.
No, I was just thinking that. I should have expressed it.
Taking a curve for a strike. You guys both here on Wednesday?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes. We can talk about the Astros again if you want.
Well, I'm sure we will, because it's going to interest me, and it's a Wednesday afternoon, so it's a little different, not the weekend. What the reception will be like for the Astros.
Well, this is my feeling. I could be 100% wrong because of the New York market, New York Mets. I doubt that they'll bring their star players to the Astros.
But
so I know the team will get a reaction, but I'm
right.
Well,
I mean, last night they didn't have any of the players who were involved in the cheating scandal, and yet they were lambasted in their home park, in their own home game. And I'm afraid for their sakes, they're going to have to get used to that. Will Toffee flied out to right field in his only at bat in this game.
Well, I think that the New Yorkers that are here on Wednesday won't have any sympathy for them either.
And I don't think they'll be stealing the signs either. I think there's ball 4. I think it is likely. Now, I don't know how, I don't know what the rules are and how you smuggle stuff in. There might be a few trash cans around to be banged on. Just a sneaking suspicion. So a 1-out walk, and now we're going to get a pinch runner. As the Mets try and find a way to get the winning run home, Edgardo Fermin will be the pinch runner. So Fermin representing the winning run at first with 1 out. Jeremy Vasquez is the batter. Vasquez up for the 3rd time, has struck out and flied out. And a half swing. And he went around. Strike 1. Woodford's fairly convinced that Fermin's going to be taken off somewhere in here. Double play ball. Sosa to Schrock and on to first, and I believe we have ourselves a tie game on a Sunday afternoon in Port St. Lucie. Goodbye, says Mike Schultz. So long, says Luis Rojas. And the Mets and Cardinals have played to a 3-3 tie.
Well, the Mets used 9 pitchers in this ball game, each going an inning.
Cardinals tied it on a 2-run homer from Edmundo Sosa in the 8th. So the Mets are 0-2-1 on the spring after they played to a 3-3 tie today against St. Louis. Jake Marisnick homered for the Mets. Game summary presented by Ford. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Nissan. Get to Nissan now for big President's Day savings, but hurry, offers end soon. By W.B. Mason. Who bought W.B. Mason? Business supplies delivered faster. By Toyota. Dear driver, hurry in and save. Toyota, let's go places. And by Geico, the #1 insurer in the New York market. Final score this afternoon, the Mets 3, the Cardinals 3. We'll be back with you on Wednesday when the Mets play the Astros at 1 o'clock. Now for Keith and Ron, I'm Gary. We'll see you Wednesday afternoon right here on SNY.